just got a smirk in a cable slot. Says he's spilling tea, but the kettle's not hot. Stuff is coming, yeah, that's the pitch. Right after he sells you his consciousness switch. Every picture's got a mic and a grainy clip. Non-human biologics from the Vegas trip. David Bruce swears it's all legit, but no receipts, that's just some bullshit. Disclosure's coming soon, so they say, but it's always just a few weeks away. I can't talk about that, cue the show, trust me bro.
But I can provide more details in a closed environment.
Yeah, we know. Ross with the accent, cool bell with the glare, Gridge charging 5K to sun in the air. Nolan's wiring stars to our DNA, but where's the proof? It flew away. Chris Mellon whispers through classified doors, Travis Taylor's back with some skinwalker lore. Jay Stratton nods in mysterious code, while Sans tweets memes in disclosure mode. Ashton Forbes got triangles in the sky, zooming enhance, it's a CGI lie. They've all seen the docs, they've all been told, but when you ask for proof,
I will give you generalities.
the trio goes cold. It's always right around the bend, just another leak and another dead end. The concept carried on a trillion-mile string. The truth, baby, it don't mean a thing. Disclosure's coming soon, sure it is, with a Kickstarter and some blurry vids. I can't talk about that, cue the flow, trust me bro, let's go.
People say 2025.
26.
2027.
Within the next year.
Good.
Stuff is coming, trust me bro, I can't talk about that. But buy my book though, and maybe someday the aliens land. But until then, it's in Stephen Greer's hand. They've got NDAs, they've got shows, but somehow never the smoking crow. Disclosure's coming, just you wait. It's always just around clickbait. I can't talk about that. They repeat, then monetize your hopeful tweet. Lose a fraud, and Grush has none. No wreckage, nobody's not even one. But if you question them, oh no, they'll block you fast. Trust me bro, the truth is out there, but not on this stream. Just UFO posts selling half the dream. So cue the hype, then cue the show. Disclosure's coming.
Is there any evidence?
But no, not really.
But very slow.
What else you want to know?
Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back. By popular demand, I believe I may have gotten, I don't know how many messages about this documentary. And I get that people want me to cover these things. So I'm here to do my due diligence and cover these documentaries. Some time ago, I called James Fox's The Program UFO documentary the worst, most deceptive UFO documentary that I've ever seen. But I gotta say, this one's even worse, or even better, and more deceptive if you're on that side. Apparently, like the playbook seems to be that if you just get enough people to say the same kinds of things, then that's convincing. And if those people have government credentials, even better. Oh, they used to work for the government and they're saying that aliens are visiting Earth? Great. Put them in the documentary. But the playbook of these UFO scammers and grifters, and I'm talking about people like James Fox, he's a UFO scammer and a grifter, and people like Lou Elizondo, he's a UFO scammer and a grifter, in my opinion, based on available evidence and research that I have done. People like James Fox and Lou Elizondo and this whole Lou crew. This film was made by the Lou crew. It's Lou Elizondo and all of his UFO circle jerking butt buddies that get together and tell each other alien stories and jerk off together. I don't know what they do, but it's this core group of UFO nutbags. That's what I call them. They're wackadoos. Okay, this James Fox's The Program. By the way, they use similar cult-like tactics too. I gave James Fox's The Program, I'm going to add it to the description of this video, a scathing review. I ripped James Fox's The Program to shit. I ripped it to shreds, and I left James Fox on the floor in a pool of his own piss and shit because he knew that I had destroyed his fake mockumentary garbage. Because what James Fox did is get some government officials to say some stuff about aliens. He just forgot to tell you the other shit that they said about aliens, like Jason Sands. Oh, he he met an alien being while he was on a secret base, while he was in the military, working in intelligence, signals intelligence, which basically is people who deal with electronic communication. So what's he doing out on a base meeting aliens? I don't know. But that's Jason Sand's story. He just forgot to tell you in his documentary that the same guy also said that he got sent on secret missions inside a cave to murder an alien being, right? And then he did a 20 and back and was in space for 20 years like Corey Good, right? He seems to be recovering memories of a 20 and back in a secret space program. This is how the UFO deception works. They carefully edit. It's a deception. And I know that because I spent a great deal of time as a professional magician. And one of the things you do to cast an illusion is only let people see certain things. It's classic misdirection. Look over here. Don't look over here. So what James Fox's The Program did is present a bunch of wackadoos. Like one of the girls, I think her name was Sarah Gam, who was on the UAP task force, also is a psychic medium and can talk to your dead grandmother for $150. He left that out of his documentary because that would destroy her credibility, and everybody would know when listening to her claims of aliens that she's also talking to people's dead grandmoms for $150. In other words, she's a new age psychic scammer. In addition to being a UFO wackadoo, kind of kills the credibility of the UFO documentary. So these UFO scamming grifters, they use deceptive tactics to edit their shit together. And they don't give you the full story on each of the individuals making the claims, because if they did, you would start laughing that they would even include a wackadoo like this in a so-called documentary. But this is where we're at, and this is where we find ourselves. And they use these cult-like tactics. James Fox and his shitty distribution company filed a Digital Millennium Copyright Act hard takedown request of my review. And you know why they did that? Because I destroyed that documentary. I ripped it to shreds. And I left James Fox in a pool of his own shit and piss crying on the ground after that takedown. It was epic. And what do I get for carefully researching each of the people in James Fox film making claims and ripping them all to shreds so that people could see how deceptive James Fox, The Program documentary was? What do I get for that? I get my video forced off of YouTube for copyright claims. I used a very tiny portion. And then they claimed that I used like an hour of their film. No, it was, I did the math. It was really like a minute and 30 seconds or less out of a 3-hour video. This is fair use. But see, these UFO scammers and grifters got to do everything they can. And in the case of this one, they are copyright striking people who post a still image of the film. If you take a picture out of the film and talk about it for 3 hours, or post a thread on Twitter and you use a still from their film, they're filing Digital Millennium copyright takedown requests with wherever you posted it to get your opinion about this film being a total crock of shit off of the internet. Does that sound like an honest documentary film producer? Does that sound like something they would do? And by the way, Dan Farah, you are a piece of shit for allowing that to happen. Aren't you not proud of your great film? And don't you want people talking about it and discussing it on the internet? Well, apparently not. And by the way, we've got the proof of this. They hard struck Stephen Greenstreet of the New York Post, who posted a 30-second clip, which I believe may have actually been the trailer to the film. I believe, and they're free to correct me, either Greenstreet or this Dan Farah piece of shit. They copyright striked a 30-second clip off of Twitter. Why? Because Stephen Greenstreet is ripping this thing to shreds, just like I ripped James Fox's The Program to shreds. And tonight, I am going to rip this age of disclosure piece of shit to shreds because somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to give you the rest of the story that they didn't tell you. Somebody's got to inform you of the total wackadoo claims that almost everybody in this film has made. And there seems to be this UFO grifting phenomenon whereby they think if they just get enough people to say things, we're all just going to go, yeah, it must be true. Let's start off with the elephant in the room. There is no evidence whatsoever put forth in this film. There is completely debunked fake UFO videos that they used in the film in the background where they're talking about free energy and other wackadoo stuff. There is contradictions from previous stories that these people have told. There is a complete and total lack of any verifiable proof for the claims that are being made. You know, a wiser man than me once said, extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. Not only do these guys not have extraordinary proof of their extraordinary claims, they have no proof, nothing, none. And again, we come back time and time again to this. I keep on saying this. They want you to rely on the person's government credentials, right? Oh, they're a military person. They're an intelligence person. And they're saying the aliens are visiting us. Therefore, it must be true. Well, these people, which are making these claims, they don't have any proof of their claims. So who cares about their credentials? We'll take a moment here to just think about this. If one person came to you with no evidence, one person, two people, let's say one or two people came to you with absolutely no evidence and they told you, listen, unicorns are real and the government captured some unicorns and is hiding them in a secret program. Well, it would be kind of strange if two people, especially if they didn't know each other. But in this case, all of these people in this film know each other. They all get together and they jerk off. I think they might jerk each other off. I don't know. There's a lot of rumors about UFO conventions. But they get together. They all know each other. It's all one big club. And by the way, I ain't in it. And what I'm doing tonight is sacrilege to the UFO scammer community. Like if you're a UFO true believer, you're not allowed to question any of these people, or you get attacked, doxxed, threatened, intimidated, because it's a fucking cult. That's what these people are. They're a cult that has been able to actually manipulate members of the government into spending more money, basically looking for unicorns. But back to my unicorn analogy, if one or two people came to you and said, the government's hiding unicorns, they've captured them, they're trying to figure out what makes unicorns work in these secret projects, you'd go, okay, do you have some proof of the unicorns? No proof? Okay, then the second guy comes to you and tells you that. But he knows the first guy. The first guy told the second guy the unicorn story about the government hiding the unicorns. And so the second guy comes to you and says, the government's hiding unicorns. And I was a high-ranking government official, and I found out the government's hiding. You'd say, okay, do you have evidence or proof that the government is hiding unicorns? Well, no, but a high-ranking government official told me. You mean one of your friends that also worked for the government told you the government's hiding unicorns? This is the self-licking ice cream cone. It's one big circle jerk where all these guys who all know each other, they all work conventions together and do documentary films together and do live speaking engagements, or they start charities to scam the gullible public out of money for UFO related nonsense. They all know each other. It's one big circular. It's been called circular reporting. One guy tells this guy a story, the other guy tells and they all tell each other these stories, and then they use each other to back up their claims. And we see this in this film 100%. We'll take a moment to recognize some kind and generous folks in the live chat, like Caleb Kempel. 1964 has been a member for 4 months. He says, praise the cash, Stephen. Keep it up, and I wish you and your family a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Right back at you. Thank you. And praise the cash, my friends. And then we've got Flat House Media says, "Get him! Glad to have you back, Stephen," with a kind and generous $20 super chat. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. And boy, while I'm too busy, all of these people that have been members for too long get their messages up. We'll try our best to get through them. Echo 2000. I will not give James Fox my skeksis. I will just give jeers and heckles. I will not buy it. From Dan Farah. Wish their moms had used Depo-Provera. Is that like birth control? Suffer, James Fox and Dan Farah. Yeah. Thank you for your kindness, Echo 2000. Amber Gedden is here. Glad to see you. So glad you're back, Stephen. I'm wishing you and your family a beautiful holiday season, a prosperous new year. Well, I'm very glad to be back, and we thank you for your kindness and your continued support. Big show supporter, member for 1 month. Thank you. And we've got Noka says it's the super duper prover maneuver. Trademark. Yeah. And by the way, that's what I've called the super duper prover maneuver. And that, my friends, is when you get one wackadoo who has absolutely no evidence and he says something like the government's hiding aliens. And then to prove that that's true, you just get, and by the way, the first guy has no evidence. He just says it. And then to prove that's true, you do the super duper prover maneuver if you're a UFO grifter. Just get another guy to come and say the same or similar things. The government's definitely hiding aliens. What he's saying is totally true. They did it over and over and over again. One wackadoo in this film said the other wackadoo in the film, and what he said was totally true, and I know it to be true. It's childish and it's stupid. But thank you, Noka, for reminding me of my own information. So what we get in this film is, it's not a documentary, by the way. This is not a documentary, because a documentary would give you all of the available information. That would mean that this filmmaker, who, by the way, I don't have anything against the guy. Apparently he worked for Steven Spielberg and all this stuff. And, you know, this is the first UFO documentary that he directed or made. But I got to say, I think that he was hoodwinked by all these people. Shouldn't this filmmaker have hired a skeptical person to dig into these people making the claims and give him a history? Like, if you were to hear that somebody in the film claimed that they had superpowers, in addition to making these alien claims, wouldn't that make them less credible? Dan Farah didn't tell you. There's multiple people in this film that claim that they have psychic superpowers, one of which is Hal Puthoff, who claimed he got superpowers from taking Scientology courses. He was a high-level, Scientology wackadoo, and he got remote viewing superpowers. Wouldn't that be good information? Like, listen, before you listen to this guy about the aliens, you got to know that he also says that he has psychic superpowers, like in the comic books. Shouldn't you know that? Shouldn't the previous claims that these people have made be relevant at all? And Dan Farah fails to give you any of the information about these wackadoos. But don't worry, because I'm going to give it to you tonight. Oh, it's great. I'm Dan Farah. How much money did you make selling this bullshit film? Because I'm not going to make anywhere near it, but I'm going to give people the truth. You lied to people, selectively edited, and your film was the most deceptive documentary I've ever seen. Not just UFO documentary at all. Of all documentaries I've ever seen, this was the most deceptively edited propaganda film piece of shit that I've ever seen in my life. And we know this to be true because Dan Farah, the filmmaker, just glanced over all of the problems with all of these wackadoos in this movie, right? Falling Starlights is here with one for the goal, saying, good to see you back on the horse, man. Glad you're on this. Well, thank you. And I thank everybody for their kindness, generosity, and support. Let's hit this goal tonight, because I got to be honest with you. Some days, like this show, I'll do a couple of days of research and gathering information to share with everybody. And the shows are not very well supported sometimes. It's a thankless job. But call it a project of passion of mine, because I've been watching some of these grifters like Lou Elizondo. By the way, that's an important point. Lou Elizondo's been out on the scene lying to people since 2017. He was never a UFO program director for the government. Never. We know that's true because the government released his personnel records. He was never the director of a UFO program director. Full stop. Hey, Dan Farah, to his credit, mentioned that in the film, but then just let Lou Elizondo say, well, that was a disinformation campaign against me, designed to destroy my credibility. Lou Elizondo, you have no credibility, you little midget bum. By the way, Lou Elizondo's like 4 foot tall. They make him look taller in the movie. They put short people around him. I think they might have used some special effects to stretch his little midget dwarf ass out to make him look like a real man. Oh, it's wonderful. But Lou Elizondo never ran a government UFO program. Full stop. He never did. Not a funded one. And in his own complaint to the government, he said, fine. It wasn't a program. Call it an activity, meaning he just did this in his spare time while he was working for the government doing completely unrelated things to UFOs. So he wasted government taxpayer money while he was working at the Pentagon hunting for UFOs. That's what I believe, and I think there should be a congressional investigation into how much time and money he wasted on UFOs when he was never assigned that responsibility. Nobody, his boss didn't tell him to go look for UFOs like a wackadoo, right? His boss's boss didn't tell him to go look for UFOs. He just took it upon himself. I'm going to look for UFOs while I'm working here at the Pentagon. And that's another thing. In this movie, they completely glance over the OSAP ATIP issue. For those unaware, OSAP was a real funded government program to investigate UFOs, but also other things like werewolves and dino beavers and spooky ghosts at Skinwalker Ranch. It is a joke. The government set up a program called OSAP, and they paid $22 million to have some of the same wackadoos that are involved in this documentary study werewolves, dino beavers, shapeshifters, orbs, aliens, demons, poltergeists, Bigfoot creatures, bulletproof wolves, and more, all at the Skinwalker Ranch. And shout out to Stephen Greenstreet, did the best reporting ever and found out that some of the people working on that project, they wanted to keep their paychecks coming in. So they would get drunk and they would fax in reports of paranormal activity just to keep the paychecks rolling in. And what we got for our $22 million was nothing. And some of these people are the same people making the same claims, wackadoo claims in this film. Doesn't that matter? Dan Farah, why didn't you go into the history of these people? But we're going to show you tonight. But back to Lou Elizondo. He's been running through the UFO community, grabbing every fucking dollar that he could since 2017. The 2017 New York Times article was completely factually wrong. Lou Elizondo did not run a $22 million program. Lou Elizondo had no assigned responsibilities working with or around UFOs. Full stop. The New York Times article said that he did. And you got to love a man so arrogant, so egotistical like Lou Elizondo to say, I was the director of a sensitive government program to study UFOs. You were the director of a program that didn't exist? You were the director of a program that you just made up in your hobby spare time? Yeah. And you got to have fun. And you know what's funny is I was looking at some of our old material here of Lou Elizondo. I wanted to get him to finally tell the truth. So this is an early AI attempt at making him tell the truth. But I think it's very relevant about him and his whole film. Let's check it out.
My name is Lou Elizondo. For years now, I have claimed I ran a sensitive Pentagon UFO program. The truth is, I never ran a real Pentagon UFO program. I lied to the New York Times. I lied to TTSA investors. I lied to hundreds of show hosts and podcasters for profit for years. In my own paperwork with the Pentagon, I admitted that it was not a program but rather an activity. An activity that I pursued in my spare time while working at the Pentagon. In other words, while I was being paid to do real work for the Pentagon, I wasted taxpayer money and resources on my own personal hobby of being a UFO hunter. The program I claimed I was the director of never really existed. That's right. I declared myself the director of a program that had no funding and never officially existed. My own Pentagon personnel records confirm I had no assigned responsibilities around or involving UFOs. The truth is I was a Pentagon desk jockey. That was boring, so I created a whole fantasy world for myself where I was the director of a $22 million official program. I only ran a Pentagon-funded UFO program in the land of my own imagination. I'm the Pentagon UFO program manager from the land of make-believe.
Yeah. So there you have it. The main character in this whole documentary just made up his fake UFO program, just made up his resume so that he could grab UFO dollars. And that's another very important part to this whole situation. Lou Elizondo has at various times claimed that he didn't make any money. He's actually claimed publicly that he hasn't made any money. And I'm going to take a moment. We're going to cite fair use. And by the way, I'm putting my fair use banner up. I do have one. I'm going to try my best not to share. I tried my best not to share anything from the film, but in order to make one point, I have to share a still from the film. This isn't from the film. And by the way, Dan Farah, I will debate anyone in your documentary on the veracity of their claims anytime, any place. That everybody in your film is welcome to come here and debate me about the claims that they made. You, Dan Farah, are welcome to come here and debate me about just how uncredible all of these wackadoos in your movie are. You're free to come here and debate me, and I will rip anybody in your film to shreds based on their history of telling tall tales, collecting money from morons on the internet, right? And that's another thing. Does anybody remember the To the Stars Academy techno scam? Because several people who were involved in that techno scam, in which millions of dollars was extracted from the gullible public with promises of disclosure and disclosing alien technology and alien materials and free energy. And, oh, we're going to build a spaceship. They collected millions of... Hal Puthoff was involved. I believe Eric Davis may have been involved. Christopher Mellon was directly involved in that. And Lou Elizondo was essentially the figurehead of all of that, along with failed rock star Tom DeLonge. So you've got Dan Farah, you've got people in your film that basically or allegedly scammed the public out of millions of dollars and promised to build a fucking spaceship. Why wasn't that in your movie? Would that have maybe impacted the level of credibility of these people to show their history? Like, oh, they collected millions of dollars and they promised investors a, quote, spaceship with a revolutionary power source that would change the world, unquote. That's what they promised their investors. Lou Elizondo was a part of that. Christopher Mellon was a part of that. Hal Puthoff was a part of that. And I think Eric Davis may have been somewhat involved in that since he works for Puthoff. Do you think maybe people watching your film might say, gee, if these guys were involved in a techno investment scam, or what has been described as a techno investment scam, and they collected millions of dollars and then they didn't deliver on anything they promised investors? By the way, Dan Farah, go find me a TTSA investor who got their money back from their initial investment. Go find me one, because I've been at this for years now. I have not been able to find one person that invested in TTSA that got their money back. So where did all that money go? Where did all that money go, Dan Farah, that TTSA collected, or that Hal Puthoff collected, Christopher Mellon collected? Where did all that money go? Because they sure did not produce a spaceship, to my knowledge. I mean, unless there's a secret spaceship somewhere, right? And just bear with me for one moment, because now I got screwed up in the live chat. All right, I got you. We'll get caught up real quick with the super chats. They're super duper bullshitters. You are correct, and thank you. One for the goal from Mojo Peridot. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. And Troll, big show supporter and YouTube channel member. Come on, you guys. Do you want Stephen's kids to only get coal in their stockings? Don't start that. Remember, one year, some asshole said that I was grifting for money to buy a PlayStation to my audience. I just mentioned how expensive PlayStations had gotten. My wife had already bought it. before. So I had to show a receipt on air that I wasn't grifting for presents. But thank you, troll. Falling Starlights. Lou Ozempic Elizondo. Look at his recent interviews. Also, the Congress can't stand him. It's obvious. Yeah, good point, Falling Starlights. And we've got Echo 2000. Praise the cashew maniac. Steven is saving us the ticket price of this crap movie. That is correct. It's $25. So thank you, Echo. You're $20 ahead. Keto Naturally has been a member for 2 months. Seems like all the UFOers had previous grifts. Yeah, and we're going to share a lot of that with you tonight. Thank you for that. And Echo 2000 with another one for the gold. David Wilcock is big sad he was left out of the movie and all the UFO playground games. They used him up and spit him out like, ew, yes. David Wilcox, not Wilcox, says, I am a master debater. Well, it's better than being a masturbator, right? Master debater. So this is interesting and just something that I thought was funny. Lou Elizondo has various times claims that he doesn't make money off of UFOs. So, and by the way, he wants government transparency. He wants the government to be transparent about UFOs. You know what I want? I want Lou Elizondo to be transparent about how much money he's made off of UFOs. Because here he is lying through his fucking teeth. You have had 7 years of my efforts for free, which have nearly bankrupted me and my family. And I lived in a trailer for nearly 2 years. Never asked for a dime from you. Don't want to read my book? Please don't buy it. It's my unfiltered experience, not asking you to buy or do anything. So let's just review. Lou Elizondo gets paid to do live speaking gigs at UFO conferences. He did his own speaking gig recently where he charged people money and then he showed them fake UFO photos that we know now were fake UFO photos. So he took money from the public. Hey, Dan Farah, are you listening to me? You dummy. Maybe you should get a research person before you make a film and look like an asshole. This is this is the main guy in your film. Do you know that he got caught taking money from the gullible public to give them the truth about UFOs? And then he showed them verifiably fake pictures of a UFO. It was a fucking chandelier, Dan Farah. And then Lou Elizondo lied to that audience and said that he talked to the pilots that took pictures of the UFO mothership in the sky. Did you know that, Dan Farah? That he lied to the public and took their money? Kind of like TTSA, where he lied to the public with his friends and took money to build a fucking spaceship and never built a spaceship? Dan Farah, you need a skeptic before you make a film. And you have a responsibility to make some public statement about everything in my video, proving that you didn't do even the least little bit of research into the people making the claims in your film. That's right, Suffadan. And by the way, I have nothing against him. Maybe he got hoodwinked by these people. Maybe he got scammed into making a pro-propaganda UFO, licking Lou Elizondo and all these other losers' asshole puff piece, because that's what it is. All right. Let's get out of that. And we're going to go back to, I have so much information to share on this. I don't even know where to begin. So we're going to start with just going through my notes. I watched this fucking piece of shit video twice. That's 4 hours of my life I will never get back. So the main gist of the film is Lou Elizondo and his band of wackadoo friends, none of which have any evidence of the shit that they're saying, all jerking each other off and backing each other up. There several times in the film, for example, Jay Stratton says, or Eric Davis says, everything that David Grush said about the non-human bodies and the spaceships is true. But they're both wackadoos, and neither of them have any evidence that that's true, so who cares? And back to my analogy, which I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. So much to communicate with you tonight. Who cares? If two people came to you and told you unicorns are real and neither had any evidence, would you care? No. Now let's just keep cranking it up. What if 30 people came to you and said, the government's hiding unicorns, but none of those 30 people had any evidence? does that hold more weight because 30 people are saying something and each of them have no evidence? That's what this film is. It's 30-something people all saying, we're not alone in the universe. The government's hiding aliens. We have cross-retrieval aliens. We've retrieved alien spaceships. We've retrieved alien bodies. But not one of these 30-plus people in this film have any evidence to back up their claims. They're stating things as, that's another thing. They state things as facts in this film without any evidence to show that those are facts. So would I care if 30 people came and told me something and none of them had evidence? No. And it doesn't matter if one person comes to me and tells me something with no evidence or 30 people. But this is the UFO grifter scam math. Like, let's just keep loading this up with people saying the same stuff. People will forget that none of them have any evidence because some of these people are government officials. Oh, and that's another thing. This group of people that is in this film have been able to systematically manipulate members of the United States Congress and Senate in some cases so that they could get money to investigate aliens and UFOs. They're so sure that the aliens and UFOs are here that they want to beat down the doors of the government and force the government to admit to their faith-based belief system. It's basically a cult, a religion that is based on faith. It's not based on evidence. We've had 80 years of people making claims like this. Do you know how much actual verifiable proof or evidence there is of these claims? None. Zero. Zip. Nada. Nothing. And so one of the big problems that I have with these people is their cult-like structure. It's an echo chamber. They won't. I'll invite everybody in this film that wants to come here, and I promise I'll be very respectful. I won't call you a wackadoo or, a grifter, and we'll go through what evidence. But you got to bring, if you want to come here on Truth Seekers, we're here for the truth. We're not here for your fucking story, your evidence-free stories. And by the way, Lou Elizondo has been leading this charge of evidence-free stories since 2017. Friends, since 2017, Lou Elizondo has been making evidence-free claims. And you'll notice the mark of a grifter, a real scammer like Lou Elizondo, is their claims get more and more grand as time goes on because they got to keep giving people that dopamine hit. But what they did last time, it's not going to be enough. They got to ramp it up and keep ramping up. When Lou Elizondo first came here, he's like, hey, I investigated UFOs for the government, and some of these things can't be explained, and there's real mystery here, and we should explain it. Okay. Now he's full on, the government's hiding alien bodies and alien spaceships, and I know that to be 100% truth. The stories have gotten more grand, but back to the money. Lou Elizondo has been scamming the gullible public for years. And did you see that? What a liar. I've done this for free for 7 years. He got a TV show deal. He got a job at To the Stars Academy that collected millions of dollars. How much money did he get from that? He got, by some accounts, $1 million book deal. How much money did he make on the book? He's been in multiple documentaries, I believe. He's gotten paid to speak at UFO events, including ones where he showed people completely fake shit and lied to them and took the money of the gullible public. No, you don't get to lie and say you haven't made anything for 7 years. That's ridiculous. And the cult-like structure here is ridiculous. Lou Elizondo got caught using sock accounts to harass skeptics and people who were questioning his story. And then spectacularly, he kind of admitted it and he got caught. And we still have all those screenshots where he viciously attacked skeptics and people who were saying he has no evidence. We're not allowed to ask for evidence? Sounds like a cult. If you're in a cult and the cult says, rainbows mean that you're in the right place. If you're under a rainbow, you're in the right. But what's the evidence of that? If they beat you up for asking for evidence, you're in a cult. You're not allowed to ask these people for evidence. And if you question them, including their ridiculous claims, like Lou Elizondo's got superpowers. Did you know that? And he once, I guess he did like a force projection and he projected himself as a ghost to a terrorist bedside. And he appeared to terrorist as an angel, and he shook their bed with his superpowers and scared that terrorist. Like, the claims that these people make are absolutely wackadoo crazy. But what they do in the documentaries is they cut out the most of the crazy, and they just give you the stuff that sounds plausible. And then they deny the history of the other shit that these wackadoos have said. But the cult-like nature of this, really? Dan Farah? Really? Lou Elizondo? Really? Jay Stratton? Oh, by the way, Jay Stratton and Lou Elizondo are executive producers of this movie. Okay. Jay Stratton said that werewolves followed him home from Skinwalker Ranch and that he's under psychic attack and all kinds of other shit. And Lou Elizondo said that alien space orbs were appearing in his house for years, but he never took a picture somehow. And he has psychic powers, right? And of course that he ran a program that he never ran. These people are bullshitters. They're just bullshitters. If you don't have any evidence with you, then you're just a bullshitter. But back to the cult-like nature, Lou Elizondo basically runs a UFO hate group that goes around and attacks anybody that questions him. And we've seen so many examples of people getting doxxed, right? I hosted a filmmaker that made a film that questions Lou's claims. And the next thing I know, I'm getting doxxed. People are attacking my wife and my family in the live chat, right? And it's another show host that was friendly to Lou Elizondo. But then, of course, there's the sock puppet accounts. Let us never forget that Lou Elizondo is such a pussy that he used a sock puppet account to argue with those mean people on the internet saying that he isn't a UFO program director and that he's full of shit.
It's clear to me now that Lou Elizondo is deceiving and manipulating the community. I mean, 100%. He admitted to that on our interview Friday by using sock puppet accounts to manipulate and deceive us. Which, I mean, so how can you trust someone who is going to go and create a secret account? Not only just create a secret account and post on it, but he creates these in-groups and out-groups of people who are in on the secret. And then he, shares this special knowledge with them and really gets them to go out and attack his critics. We can't see what the tweets that he posted under these sock puppets anymore because they've been deleted. But, he made it seem like on the interview that he was just responding to people who were doing personal attacks on his family. That's a load of BS. There wasn't really any attacks on his family before this whole Who's Lou documentary started. And that was after he deleted his sock puppet account. He was using that account to attack people like Mick West and Stephen Greenstreet and, rile people up and sow division. And to what end is really my question now. Why he says that his audience isn't UFO Twitter. If his audience isn't UFO Twitter, why does he have multiple sock puppet accounts engaging with UFO Twitter and doing all of this nonsense? Like it just doesn't make any sense to me. I'm at a loss, really.
Absolutely ridiculous. And what a pussy, right? Like, I'm going to make a fake account and I'm going to tell everybody that's saying I'm not a real UFO program director, tell them how wrong they are. It got ridiculous. It's been ridiculous for just some time now. It's just been completely ridiculous. This man is a ridiculous joke, right? And I love how nobody in the mainstream media that interviews him, right, ever gets to go like, well, look at these documents that say you never ran a Pentagon program. Look at your own complaint to the Inspector General of the intelligence community that says here you admit it. It wasn't a program that was funded. It was an activity, right? It's kind of ridiculous, but here we are, and Lou Elizondo has collected, by some accounts, rumors and speculation, take from that what you will, he's collected millions of dollars. He just bought a bar somewhere. It's got to mean he's making some money. And the other joke that's in this is that whole the whole mythology about this guy, Lou Elizondo. Like, oh, well, he was so disgusted with the way the government was handling UFOs that he quit working for the government. No, he didn't. In fact, by his own statements, he still works for the government today. He never quit working. Maybe he quit one government job and got another one. He's still working for the government. We want to thank Nathaniel 5754. Sorry, just tuning in, Stephen. I'm so glad you're on the mend. God bless you and your family. Suffolk grifters. Yeah, I'm feeling more and more like myself every day, and I thank everybody who's offered so much support since my recent sort of health scare. Slowly feeling like myself again, and thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. The movie was fabricated to make us people look bad. I don't know about that. Okay, so I'm going to go to my notes about the actual film. And, you know, this is where it gets real dry, and I apologize, but I can't play clips from the film or they'll take down my video because they're pussies and they're intellectual weaklings and cowards that cannot withstand any debate whatsoever. And by the way, if you were a pro go UFO nutbag, right? If you're on the true believer side and you're saying, hey, this film's coming out and it's great, you're allowed to post whatever the fuck you want. But if you're a skeptic or you're asking questions that are inconvenient to their sales of this shitty documentary, they are taking people's videos down. They've gone as far. People were making memes, joke videos. They took an image of Lou Elizondo in front of a chalkboard and they changed what was on the chalkboard to like, I jerk myself off daily to UFO videos and, you know, like funny memes. They filed takedown requests for funny memes. What kind of a pussy does that? Dan Farah, Jay Stratton, Lou Elizondo, you guys are pussies, man. And again, you pussies are free to come on my show and we'll debate what kind of a pussy it takes to take down funny memes making fun of you with legal measures because you're such intellectual weaklings and cowards. And your film is so fucking deceptive and terrible that it's indefensible by any other means. You have to silence all the critics. Take that shit down. Get it off the internet. Or we might not sell enough of this video to make another one. And by the way, that's another question that I have. How much money do these same bunch of wackadoos, how much money are they allowed to make until they're required by law to show evidence of their claims? Since 2017, Lou Elizondo's been out here grabbing book money and live event money and conference speaking fees and book deals and TV show deals and documentary show deals, all of which paid him handsomely, I'm told, or I hear. How many more money grabs does Lou Elizondo get? How many more money grabs does Jay Stratton get? Or any of the, or Hal Puthoff? How much, we're going to get into Hal Puthoff and how much government money he wasted. And of course, he was involved in the TTSA techno scam, where the government, where their group, TTSA, collected millions of dollars from the public and promised all kinds of things, delivered nothing they promised. Sounds like problematic to me. So Lou Elizondo and his band of wackadoos, I mean, it's a serious question. How many times do they get to pull the Lucy and the football on the gullible public saying, the government's hiding the proof about aliens, buy our new documentary? How many times are they allowed to do that before, you know, it should be illegal, in my opinion? I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just a, YouTuber here. But it just seems to me to be incredibly convenient that these guys can just keep making deceptive products and saying things like, the government's hiding aliens, buy our new documentary. And then you buy the documentary and there's zero evidence or proof that the government's hiding aliens. You know, it's been since 2017. Like, dude, Lou Elizondo, you bought a bar. Go become a bartender, slob. Because you have deceptively extracted enough money from the gullible public and, more importantly, the UFO community. And that's another point of interest, because this is so funny, and it was pointed out by Mick West. And I'm just going to take a moment and share my screen here. It's not the gullible public mostly that's getting scammed, in my opinion. It is UFO nutbags. People who want to believe UFOs are aliens. That's who's getting scammed the most, in my opinion. based on some available evidence, including this. Mick West pointed this out. Customers also watched Secret UFO Files, Alien Paradox, Secret UFO Files, Alien Dark Side, Out of the Blue, and Top 30 Unexplained UFO. I'm sorry, I can't even read that one. So the target for this, they make you believe that it's supposed to be the general public, but it's really the UFO community that's getting scammed. How many more Lucy and the Footballs? How many more times do they get to say the government's hiding aliens? Buy my book, come to my live event where I show you completely fake pictures of aliens. And again, I'm not a law enforcement officer, but if you ask me, it's just my opinion. If you say to the gullible public, come to my live UFO event and I'm going to tell you the truth about aliens and what the government knows about it. And I ran a government program about UFOs. And then you plop down your $50 or $100 or whatever it costs, and you go to the event, and then the person who made these promises shows you completely and totally provably fake pictures of an alien spaceship and calls it a mothership, then lies to you and says that he talked to the pilots that took the picture. He couldn't have. It wasn't a real image in the sky. At what point does this cross over into complete and total consumer fraud? At what point is somebody going to file a criminal complaint against Lou Elizondo for pretending to run a UFO program for the government and taking the public's money based on that lie? To me, that's consumer fraud. But look, here's the victims. And by the way, UFO community who want the truth, how are you getting the truth from a bunch of liars? I've said this time, and these are all proven liars. He lied about his background with the government. He lied about running a UFO program. He lied about talking to pilots that filmed the mothership. He lied to investors at TTSA. We're going to build a spaceship. I mean, how many times is the guy going to get caught lying before you go, you know what? He's probably a liar and not a good source of information about this very esoteric subject. You can't go to a proven liar to get the truth. You'll always be disappointed. Back to Lucy and the football. That's what Lou Elizondo and all his friends do. They Lucy and the football you. They promise you you're going to get to kick the football, Charlie Brown. We're going to show you the truth about them aliens. And then they give you nothing. They pull the football away at the last minute. Lou Elizondo has done this many times. Remember, he was part of TTSA. We're going to show you alien spaceship parts. And then they didn't. We're going to take your money and bring you UFO disclosure and the truth. And then they didn't. We're going to take your money and we're going to build a spaceship with a revolutionary power source that's going to change the world. And then they didn't. TTSA collected millions of dollars. Very important question, Mr. Elizondo. How much of those millions of dollars did you personally get in your bank account? How much money did you make from that? And shouldn't you give the money back to investors since you guys didn't deliver anything that you promised? I mean, I would think so, but, you know, what do you know? And why is Christopher Mellon, by the way, he's a big part of this. Christopher Mellon is a big part of this, of the Mellon banking family. And even his cousin, William Warner, says that he's full of shit. And he is a CIA, he's running a CIA PSYOP. I don't want to put words in John William Warner's mouth. You check out our previous episodes. Even his cousin, son of Senator Warren, says that Christopher Mellon is full of shit. And why is Christopher Mellon taking part in you know, what some people have described as investment scams? He's a member of the Mellon banking family. He's got more money than God. Why is he a member of TTSA that's allegedly scamming the public out of millions of dollars? Amber Geddon with one for the goal says, praise the cash. Rip these grifters a new one. Yes, and Echo, we're going to get it. Thank you, Amber Geddon. And Echo says, Farah twisted Rubio's words. Think Rubio or other serious politicians will ever talk to him again? If Rubio makes VP or P, I'm sure he'll get even. Yeah, so there's a lot of controversy because Marco Rubio's in this film. But then Marco Rubio does an interview post-film and says, well, that was filmed 3 or 4 years ago and they edited it out of context. So I guess Marco Rubio doesn't believe your claims, right? Marco Rubio does not believe these out-of-this-world claims. But thank you, Echo, for your kindness, generosity, and support. We've got Wolverine Time just became a YouTube channel member. Yes! We love getting new members during a live broadcast. And just like I always say, thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. If you become a new member like Wolverine Time here, you're going to get a member badge. You're going to get access to our members only section. There's lots of videos in there, and you're going to get a big shout out and thank you from me. So thank you, and big shout out to Wolverine Time, who is the latest person who has taken the second red pill and decided not to believe these lying scumbags. And let's get the whole truth, the real truth, and nothing but the truth as best Stephen Cambion can give it to us. And I thank you, Wolverine Time. And we've got Sam Corbin, who's been a member for 2 months. Guess who's back? Back again. Steven's back. Tell a friend. I am back, and I'm feeling very good today. So thank you for that. We appreciate you, Sam Corbin, and thanks for being a member for so long. So I'm going to go over to my Twitter because this is funny. The Paranormal Chris posted this, and so did several other people. But we're going to listen to this. And by the way, I do apologize that I cannot share clips from this film, but I don't want the video to be taken down because Lou Elizondo is a pussy. I don't want the video to be taken down because Dan Farah is an inexperienced person when it comes to this subject, and in my opinion, got scammed by a bunch of people that have been scamming the public for years, in some cases decades. I don't want the video taken down. I want people to see the whole truth of this film, the truth that is being hidden from you. So here's Marco Rubio talking about getting asked.
But I got to ask you, there's a show that's come out. It's called The Age of Disclosure.
Yeah.
Okay, I know everyone probably, right?
Look at it.
Everyone asks you about it.
He's starting to laugh. He's laughing about it, right? And see, here's what I will say. This was a big win for the Lou Scam crew because they interviewed Marco Rubio when he was just a senator. And then some time passed in between. It's 3-4 years ago was the interview that he gave. And they selectively edited it, and now he's the Secretary of State. So it makes their film look very credible. But they selectively edit it to sell a film. And Marco Rubio says that here.
Sure. It's a new documentary. We
By
have
the way, fair use,
repeated
transformative
instances
work.
of something operating in the airspace over restricted nuclear facilities. It's not ours. And presidents operate on a need-to-know basis.
Yeah.
Okay, that is
So a couple points on it. First of all, I'm not disavowing that. It was an interview that was done almost like maybe 3 or 4 years ago when I was
3 or 4 year old interview. A lot changes in 3 or 4 years.
in the Senate.
right.
So it wasn't recent. The second point I would make, I was describing the allegations that people have come forward with. I have people that came forward to us. You know, some of these people were Navy pilots, admirals, generals, whatever, that would come forward and say,
Remember I said it's a circle jerk? Here, Marco Rubio admits that what he said in that film, he was just repeating things that people told him. Kind of casts those statements in a whole different light now, doesn't it? The fact that he was just repeating things people told him.
that there were programs in the U.S. government that not even presidents were made aware of. So I was describing what people had said to me, not things that I have firsthand knowledge of in that regard.
I was describing things that were said to me, not things I have firsthand knowledge of. Dan Ferris selectively and I believe deceptively edited that film to make it appear that the sitting Secretary of State was agreeing with all of these wackadoos. He's not.
A little bit of selective editing, but it's okay because, you know, you're trying to sell a show there.
Little bit of selective editing, but it's okay because you're trying to sell a film there. Yeah, trying to sell a film. You're just trying to sell a film. It's okay. So they take him out of context, and that is laughable. So one of their big selling points to the movie, current sitting Secretary of State agrees with the wackadoos that are saying the aliens and it's top secret and even presidents are without. No, he's just repeating shit that the same wackadoos in the movie told him. Just repeating shit that the same people in the movie that are making the claims told him. Remember, we said this is all circular reporting. This is circular reporting. And I just want to take a moment to verify. So I have 12 data points which prove that these age of disclosure losers, pussies, intellectual weaklings, and cowards are using legal means to remove things from skeptics' feeds from their movie. Stephen Greenstreet of the New York Post, by the way, make sure you follow him. It's at Middle of Mayhem. The only takedown I've ever gotten in my 18 years on X, Twitter, occurred today after posting a 20-second clip from UFO Religion's new movie. So here, the media has been disabled in response to a report by the copyright owner. They're taking down clips where people post a clip and then tell everybody why the clip is bullshit, right? They can't have people telling people why the whole film is bullshit, right? They can't have people doing that. We want to take a moment to thank some kind and generous folks. We'll get caught up. All right. Jacob de Jong from the Netherlands gifted 1 True Seekers membership. And this, my friends, is why you got to smash that subscribe button. If you are in the live chat and you are a subscriber and a kind and generous soul like Jacob de Jong from the Netherlands gifts a free membership, you could win one, but you must be a subscriber. So smash that subscribe button and you could win a free membership. And then we have Duco Duos, Alpha Ralpha, who's been a member for 12 months, 1 year still seeking the truth. Well, you keep looking, Sam Corbin, but here's a good place to find a lot of it. Sam Corbin with 5, praise the cash. Lou Elizondo is a fraud. David Wilcock is gay, and Corey Good is his lover. Darkside Phil is jealous and wants in on the action. I am not responsible for the things that people in my audience say, but I can't say I disagree. Arlene Atkins, our wonderful moderator, thanks for that, Arlene, is sharing Greenstreet's X. It's at Middle of Mayhem. He's the only mainstream reporter who has gotten any of this stuff right. And, you know, it's just kind of ridiculous that out of all of the media, only one guy, maybe a few. There's also an excellent piece in the Washington Spectator called Spaceship of Fools that details a lot of the information and breaks it all down that I'm sharing with you. Lou Elizondo is not a UFO program director. Lou Elizondo is a joke. He is literally worthy of mockery. And I, for one, am glad to see some people mocking him. And I'll continue to be one of them. Lou Elizondo is a joke, and he deserves to be made fun of. And it's by the way, it's my constitutional right to make fun of. I can't wait to see what these clowns are going to try something to take this video down. I just know it. But know that if they do that, I'll be posting on Rumble and all the ghetto of the internet sites as soon as possible. We will not be silenced by Lou lies all the time Elizondo.
What's the most compelling modern thing that you've seen?
Oh my God, Joe. I can't talk about it, but let me say this. One night, me and a bunch of the guys are playing strip poker, and all of a sudden I lose. So here I am, walking around base in high heels along the outskirts, and everyone...
Oh, that sounds crazy.
So here I am, walking around base in high heels along the outskirts.
I am not saying you're crazy, just the story.
No, you're good. And all of a sudden, this massive black craft floats above us, and I stop and stare at this craft, and next thing I know, I'm on the craft. And all these aliens are having their way with me. It was a horrible experience, and I have the scars to prove it.
So these beings did butt stuff.
Yes. Oh man, Joe. Among many other fucked up things. I still can't sit comfortably, but that's a story for another day. As for the ass play, I really can't get into it because I am under contract to keep quiet. I can lose my top secret clearance, and I need that to keep my grift game going. I'm sure you can respect that.
Absolutely. Still digesting the butt stuff. Christ, Lou, the pain. You're dealing with good God, brother. It's tough.
Well, thank you for being so open-minded, Joe. That's why I came on your show today. You just want to listen, and I really needed that today. Sometimes I sit in the dark and just cry.
So these beings did butt stuff.
Oh my God, I can't talk about it, unfortunately. This is my frustration, Joe, because I know what I've seen. I know what my colleagues have seen, right? And to this day, there's video that's coming in on a regular and routine basis that is very, very compelling.
Very compelling. There's always butt stuff involved. So again, so much to share with you. We'll try to get some more to share with you. And I'm sorry if things are a little disconnected. I probably should have tried to organize this much better. We've wasted enough time on Lou Elizondo. Lou Elizondo has been wrong about everything. He showed people fake images of, chandeliers. He showed people fake images at was it a congressional hearing or was it some kind of hearing involving government agencies recently? And of course, he famously is wrong about even the initial 3 videos that they first came out with, which is just kind of funny. Like, this guy's been wrong about everything. Like the Go Fast video, he said was doing a tremendous amount of speed. It was doing 40 miles an hour. That's in the film. That's been debunked. Why is it in the film? And why is there so many debunked fake videos in the film where they're supposed to be giving you the truth? They're giving you the truth with fake videos? This doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Let me get back to my Twitter here. But the good news is that people are tiring. People are really tiring of this evidence-free bullshit that Lou Elizondo has been, and his friends, remember, has been the champion of. And here's something interesting. Longtime believer, this was posted on Reddit. It got a ton of upvotes. The tides are turning and people are tired of these Lucy and the football scenarios. They're tired of the excuses. Well, I can't tell you anymore. I know for sure the government has aliens, but I can't tell you anymore because it's classified. No, it's not. That's a bullshit excuse. Okay, so longtime believers starting to think it's all BS. I've been into the subject for over 10 years, and I still think alien life is one of the most thrilling ideas human beings have ever considered. But 80 plus years into the story, and we still don't have one clean, undeniable piece of evidence. No crystal clear photos, no wreckage, no bodies, no material samples. We're seriously supposed to believe UFOs have crashed all over the world for decades, yet somehow every single one of them has been recovered and covered up flawlessly by a small group of secret insiders across different countries, different wars, politics, and generations. That stretches credibility. All we truly have is testimony, and testimony alone, no matter how impressive the job titles, is not proof. When you combine that with the untraceable military budgets, intelligence agencies that openly admit to psychological warfare, and decades of secrecy, it becomes completely reasonable to suspect that some cases might be staged, exaggerated, or manipulated. If the governments can run global influence campaigns, why is it unthinkable that the UFO narrative itself could be part of one? I'm open, but I am no longer convinced. And this is the attitude of many, many people now. People are tiring of this Lucy and the football game. Like, how many more documentaries or how many more times can Lou Elizondo make a whole bunch of money telling people that the government has aliens, the government has alien spaceships, and that there's this big cover up? How many more times can they do that before nobody cares? It's like the boy who cried alien instead of the boy who cried wolf. And here is, 1 second here. Here is another very good point that I agree totally with this. So this one is from Mick West. Oh, we're gonna be forced to play clips from the movie. This is a short takedown request. Mick West says, in this clip from Age of Disclosure, Christopher Mellon and Lou Elizondo discuss replacing oil, gas, and coal with clean technologies based on UFOs. To illustrate this, they show 3 things which look like UFOs, but they are not. The first is a pair of sky lanterns. The second is an A-10 Warthog. The third is a balloon. So these guys in their movie are talking about the aliens have free energy, and if we just get the free energy, we can have a utopian society and we don't have to buy gas no more. Isn't this wonderful? We just get free energy from the aliens. But to illustrate their point, they're showing 3 things that are not UFOs: lanterns, an airplane, and a fucking balloon. These losers they're telling you the truth about aliens and UFOs are showing completely and totally fake UFOs. UFO or UAP, whatever term you want to use, the first word is unidentified. These three things are identified. It's floating lanterns, the first one. The second one is an airplane, an A-10 Warthog. The third one is a balloon, meaning these are not unidentified. These losers are showing you fake UFO videos while they're supposed to be giving you the truth about UFOs. Maybe the truth they should give you is, we had to use some fake UFO videos because we're kind of short on the real UFO videos that we got, even though we all worked for the government collectively. There's so many people that worked for the government for a decade or more in this film. The best they could do is fake UFO videos, but here we are.
If we can understand the technology that we're observing.
And by the way, this is fair use. This is the textbook definition of fair use. We're using this clip to educate the public. We're critiquing the video. We're educating the public. We're engaging with the live chat and discussing this clip. This is fair use. And I will aggressively and legally defend my right to fair use if challenged by one of the intellectual weaklings and cowards that put this deceptive film together to scam the gullible public for money with this fakery, fraudery, and bullshittery. I'm allowed to say it's fakery. I'm allowed to say it's fraudery. I'm allowed to say it's bullshittery. And I'm allowed to show evidence that it is.
It has so many potentially beneficial impacts.
There's a fake UFO.
Including clean energy. We're seeing these craft doing unbelievable things, and it's not combustion engineering.
This is tech.
There's a balloon. And of course, the third. Yeah. So we've got them using fake videos. What did I use? Let's see. How many seconds of this did I use? I'm going to have to check. One moment. I used 21 seconds. Are they really going to file a Digital Millennium Copyright Act takedown to get my scathingly bad review of their horrible, deceptive, money grab UFO documentary scam? Are they really going to file a Digital Millennium Copyright Act or a copyright claim on my channel? I will file appeals. I will aggressively defend my right to fair use. These people should not be allowed to scam the public with total fakery, fraudery, and bullshittery, and then say, you can't use clips where we deceived the public to prove that we deceived the public. That's ridiculous that they should be allowed to do that, right? In my opinion, it's ridiculous, but this is where we're at. People like James Fox and intellectual weaklings like Lou Elizondo they'll do anything they have to stop the public from hearing the real truth of what they're really doing here so that they don't lose money. They don't want people to know the whole truth. If they did, they would have put it in their film. It's just ridiculous. One moment here. Now we're going to get into the individuals involved and the claims that they have made. So, like I said, this works. This deception works because they don't tell you the history of the people who are making these claims. Like, it sounds pretty credible when you just hear, well, this guy worked for naval intelligence and he says the government has aliens, or this guy worked for the Air Force and he says the government's hiding aliens, or this guy worked for the Pentagon and he says the government's hiding aliens. It sounds pretty good until you know, besides making the claims that they've made in this film, they've all made an incredible amount of wackadoo claims. And Stephen Greenstreet of the New York Post, again, it's at Middle of Mayhem. I highly recommend you follow him if you really want the truth behind these jokers. They hate his guts. I think the only person in UFO land more hated than me, there's two of them, is Mick West, who debunks all these fake videos that they use to prove, oh, look, aliens. No, it's a fucking balloon, you retard. Mick West does that. Stephen Greenstreet, he investigates these people and just destroys them. They hate him worse than me. So I wrote, when people making wild claims have no evidence to back up their claims, we must consider their history. their integrity and evaluate if we should believe them. Most of the people in this film are total wackadoos with a history of telling stories or deception or both. And Green Street has a thread here, which is just the best thing that I've seen on this. He says, I don't know if that's a group of the craziest claims of the stars of the Age of Disclosure new UFO documentary. The mainstream news media is currently clickbait promoting this movie, but they won't tell you the whole truth. I'm one of the journalists who will. 1. Lou Elizondo, former Pentagon counterintelligence official, claims, number 1, he ran a Pentagon UFO program. He didn't. Number 2, UFOs lived inside his house for years, but he admits he never took photos. Number 3, he used his psychic powers to turn himself into an angel that then tortured a prisoner. He turned himself into an angel. Number 3, aliens could actually be angels or demons. In May 2025, Elizondo was publicly humiliated after he presented a fake UFO photo to members of Congress during a meeting where he and his UFO cohorts asked for $1 billion in taxpayer monies to hunt aliens. And there's all the sources are here. Jay Stratton, again, so Lou Elizondo is one of the executive producers of this shit show film. Jay Stratton is one of the other executive producers. And by the way, I don't think it's normal course of movie making that executive producers are also the stars of the movie, but okay. Number 2, Jay Stratton, former Pentagon intelligence official, claims, 1, a werewolf or wolfman stalked his backyard. And the wolfman, this is so stupid. This is so stupid. This is what they're not telling you. It's just so stupid. This guy, Jay Stratton, in the movie, he seems all serious, right? And he says, I worked for the government for many years studying UFOs, and I have seen non-human spacecraft and non-human biological entities with my own eyes. And it's so dramatic, and they play the dramatic music while he's giving you these revelations. They just forgot to tell you that he also said a werewolf or a wolfman stalked his backyard and followed him home from Skinwalker Ranch. Number 2, he also claimed that a poltergeist possessed him at Skinwalker Ranch in Utah and then followed him back to his home in Maryland. I'm not sure then. Did the Wolfman follow him home, or was the Wolfman something else? I don't know. Number 3, his house was haunted by an evil shadow. Number 4, a spooky tree shadow paralyzed him, overwhelming him with fear. He then saw a giant ghost. Number 5, a video shows triangle UFOs swarming U.S. Navy ships in 2019. They were actually just out of focus stars. So this guy has been wrong about everything. In other words, he's a wackadoo. Then we get to Tim Gallaudet, former U.S. Navy official, and he claims this guy's great. And by the way, Tim Gallaudet is one of the people over and over and over again in this film. They get the people in the film to say, we're not alone. Aliens are visiting us and the government knows about it, or something like that. Some kind of a statement of fact like that. And they forget to tell you that the people that keep saying aliens are real and they're visiting us, or the government knows the truth, non-human intelligence, and we have alien spaceships and alien biologics, they forget to tell you that the people that are saying that, they sound pretty credible when you don't know some of the other shit that they said. Like former U.S. Navy official Tim Gallaudet, and he's a doctor apparently. They called him Dr. Tim Gallaudet at the Senate hearing. He also said spirits from the other side haunt his home. Number 2, he said his daughter is a psychic medium that can see and communicate with these spirits. Number 3, he filmed tiny ghost UFOs inside his house, but he's never provided the footage. This is so stupid. There, welcome to the age of deception. It's not the age of disclosure, it's the age of deception. Number 4, alien UFOs are living inside Earth's oceans. And what is his proof of any of this? He has no proof whatsoever. None. He has no proof of any of this. But he's a former Navy official, so he sounds credible. Just forget to tell people that his daughter is psychic and speaks to alien alien insiders. And here's a clip where Tim Gallaudet is saying that his daughter has psychic superpowers and sees and talks to dead people. And again, fair use. This is from the Dead Files, season 6, episode
3.
Let's talk about her. What's going on?
She has drawn pictures.
What kind of pictures?
I have some right here. This is the man with the brown arms. He lives in her room, in her closet.
Oh, jeez, all right.
And interesting, here's Tim Gallaudet. And interesting, instead of getting their, I don't know if they did you get your daughter counseling when she started to tell you that she was seeing dead people in her room? Or did you run to exploit that for financial motive and get on a television show? I know what it looks like, but I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm a father. I have 2 children. And if one of them came to me and started saying troubling things like, you know, oh, I'm seeing aliens, or I'm sorry, I'm seeing dead people, I'm communicating with dead spirits, I would take them to a psychiatrist, a child psychiatrist. I wouldn't put them on a television show. So, you know, some of these people, there is both a financial motive and a fame motive. Like they're looking for some kind of clout, fame. I don't know why you would do that to your child, but this is where we're at, and this is where we find ourselves. And by the way, Tim Gallaudet never saw a UFO with his own eyes. He just was a Navy official. So him standing in the documentary and saying the government is hiding the aliens, or whatever he said, I'm paraphrasing, confirming this evidence-free statement of fact without any facts and evidence to support that, it's worthless. He never saw a UFO. He never saw anything while he worked for the government that confirmed that the government is hiding aliens or extraterrestrials. And he's a complete and total wackadoo who thinks that his daughter is a medium that talks to spirits and dead people every day. These things are relevant. And the filmmaker, Dan Farah, left all of this out because Dan Farah is not an honest documentarian. And I'm making an assumption, but I assume after watching this film that Dan Farah purposefully left all of this information out. He didn't want you to know any of this.
My youngest daughter had real serious behavioral issues, and to put it, just sum it all up, she is like many of these medium that you see. She can see spirits. She saw them all the time. And there are people that have this ability to tap into whatever we want to call it, the other side, where people go when they die, whatever.
Okay, so besides saying that the government is covering up extraterrestrial alien spacecraft, he's also saying that his daughter can speak to dead people and communicate with spirits on the other side. I would think that if a man like this is going to stand in a documentary and say the government's hiding the proof of aliens or whatever he said, okay, but he has no evidence for that. So now we have to look at his credibility. Dan Farah, do you think this guy's credible when he talks about the government hiding aliens now that you know that he rushed to profit from his daughter's delusions and get on a television show? And by the way, I don't know that he got paid. He's free to correct me if he didn't. But this goes directly to his credibility. If somebody's going to stand there with no evidence and make wild claims, shouldn't we get to know that he's made other ridiculous, completely wild claims? I think so.
That is the energy that people leave behind. There's a lot of ways to explain it. And, you know, my wife and I, we, through this experience, to just be able to help her, we came to meet several mediums who are incredibly gifted. You know,
so instead of taking his daughter to a psychiatrist or a child psychologist, he took his daughter to other wackadoos that say they can talk to dead people for help. Great. And got her on a TV show. Great job. Great job. So is maybe this guy a clout chaser, fame chaser, and willing to say wacky stuff just to get on television or to get in a documentary? Hey, Dan Farah, maybe you ought to reevaluate the credibility of every single person that was in your film. Because so far, every person in your film is about as credible as a crackhead. Every person in your film is as credible as a crackhead holding up a gas can, asking you for gas money to get home. That's how credible these people are. They have no credibility. All right, we're going to move on to the next thing. Like I said, I've got an action-packed night for you tonight, friends. There is so much here that destroys these people's credibility. But now I got to go hunting into my own archives. So one of the other people that was in this film saying, basically agreeing that the government's hiding extraterrestrial aliens, one of those other people was Travis Taylor, who I got to tell you is a Skinwalker. He's a Skinwalker Ranch guy. And Travis Taylor is a complete and total wackadoo who claimed that, what did he claim? He claimed that there was an alien spaceship flying by a camera at thousands of miles an hour. And it turned out to be a bug. Again, maybe if you're going to have somebody in your film that says the government's hiding alien spacecraft, you ought to, vet that person and tell the audience their history of making crazy wackadoo claims like the government is hiding alien spaceships. Yeah, I'm at a loss for that clip right now. But I do have something to share with you about Lou Elizondo and how he got the Go Fast video all wrong. Remember, he's a Pentagon UFO expert. This comes from Stephen Greenstreet. Another thing you didn't include in your film, Dan Farah, is that he gets every fucking thing wrong. He's been wrong about everything. He's showing people fake UFO photos. He's showing people UFO videos claiming it's going thousands of miles an hour. Oh no, it's only going 40 miles an hour. Oh shit.
This video has come to be known as Go Fast and shows an object speeding just above the water.
That thing is hauling
That's
ass.
exactly my point.
It's a little less than 2/3 the speed of sound.
How is the craft able to fly so fast?
We can apply basic trigonometry to figure out how far it moved. And in this case, this object moved about 390 meters in 22 seconds. And that corresponds to a velocity of just 40 miles per hour.
That thing is hauling
That's
ass.
exactly my point.
40 miles per hour.
It's a little less than 2/3 the speed of sound.
40 miles per hour.
But how is the craft able to fly so fast?
40 miles per hour. 40 miles per hour. 40 miles per hour.
Yeah, I can't resist the Laughing Lions kind of sell it about how ridiculous all of this is, right? Felt it by math. Somebody in the live chat says, yes, and I apologize if I missed any super chats. I'm going to catch up with that, and we're going to continue. I got so much more to share. I'm trying to race through it. Echo 2000 gifted a Truth Seekers membership, and we thank them for their kindness, generosity, and support. And once again, this is why you have to hit that subscribe button. 2 people tonight so far have won a free Truth Seekers membership, and you could win one too. But you've got to be a subscriber and be in the live chat to be eligible to get those free memberships. YouTube somehow randomly distributes them to people in the live chat. I'm racing through my live chat, my aggregated live chat. I think we're all caught up. And if I did happen to miss anything that somebody sends, we'd like to thank everybody. Just write in all capital letters, you missed my super chat, and I'll get to it as soon as I can. Now, another of the less than credible people in this is Gary Nolan, who is an immunologist who somehow is contacted by the CIA, according to him, to study medical records from people that have been close to UAPs or UFOs and suffered negative health effects. No, Gary Nolan has been involved in multiple, in my opinion, scams to dupe the public with completely and totally fake UFO stories. Also included in this film is clips from Ross Coulthart, who's a disgraced Australian journalist who basically his contract didn't get renewed at 60 Minutes after he ran a piece accusing a whole bunch of members of British Parliament of being kitty touchers, child SA people. And that story turned out to be completely and totally fake. So Ross Coulthart jumps into the UFO space, and he's been here ever since because he can't get a real job, doing real reporting because he's a disgraced Australian journalist. Did you tell people when you played those clips, Dan Farah, that you included a disgraced journalist who can't get a real job, so he covers UFOs now? He's the one who interviewed David Grush, who's another evidence-free bullshit artist storyteller. David Grush was put in a mental institution not once, but twice The guy was married twice, and both of his wives, ex-wife number one, called the cops because he was a little too drunk and saying crazy shit, and they 302'd him. To the best of my knowledge and recollection, they involuntarily placed him in a mental institution. And then ex-wife number two, to the best of my knowledge and recollection, also had an incident where she had to call the cops or the authorities or somebody, and they again placed him in an involuntary observation period in a mental institution. Did you tell people, Dan Farah, that David Grush, who says the government has alien bodies, he also said that the people were being murdered by alien interdimensional space monsters? That's relevant. But back to Gary Nolan, he's been involved in several of these over-exaggerated, over-sensationalized, overhyped, clickbait garbage stories designed to make as much money as possible. And Gary Nolan sells his credibility as a Stanford professor to other UFO wackadoos. He did it with Stephen Greer, selling the fake anatomic human. To his credit, eventually, I think a year later, he came out with the DNA results that he didn't even do that proved that that was just a deformed baby. That was a scam. Gary Nolan directly involved in that. And then, of course, the Jim's Balls scam. He was directly involved in that as well. Here's the Ross Coulthard.
Can I just say, even though I'm not entirely comfortable at times with the way they sensationalize in their promos, because I thought the promos for our story were a tad over the top at times.
What you're seeing here is momentous.
You think that's alien technology?
Yes, I do. I thought the promos for our story were a tad over the top.
We have new, conclusive proof.
Testable evidence of alien technology.
Tad over the top at times.
Is it possible to exceed the speed of light? The answer is yes.
The biggest discovery in human history.
Promos for our story were a tad over the top.
New evidence that has to be seen to be believed.
7 News Spotlight, Sunday on 7 and 7+.
Not entirely comfortable at times with the way they sensationalize in their promos, because
So, Dan Farah, if you're going to include clips of Ross Coulthard in your documentary, isn't it fair to the audience that you tell your audience that this person, Ross Coulthard, and this person, Gary Nolan, have both been involved in pumping up over-sensationalized, completely and totally fake stories? In this story, Ross Coulthard and Gary Nolan did a project together where they promised they had conclusive proof, testable evidence of alien technology. Do you know what they showed? Nothing. They had no proof. Nothing, Dan Farah. Doesn't this matter? Doesn't the history of any of these wackadoos matter? And then, of course, Gary Nolan got pressed. Where's the ball shavings? Where's the evidence of the alien technology you promised us, Gary Nolan and Ross Coulthard? And Ross Coulthard had a fucking breakdown when people started demanding the evidence and proof that they said they already had.
They come to me with some of their results, and I basically said, these results are shit. So I'm sorry to the people who are so friggin' impatient that they won't get off their butt and go learn this stuff and do it themselves. I'm not your daddy. I'm not here to do things for you. I'm sorry. Get out of your basement and go do something. I've seen some of those snap your fingers reports, and they're garbage. Publish the darn paper. Stop claiming that. This is shoddy work. This can't go anywhere. Who did this? It's crap.
Yeah. So this is what happens when you demand the evidence or proof from some of the people in this film that have already made incredible claims and never delivered. Another Lucy and the football story. And of course, David Grush is featured in the film. He's not in the film, but they use clips of him in the film. And here's another thing. This whole thing is one big scam because they basically manipulated the government into holding hearings about this so that they could take video clips of the hearings and then put it in their for-profit movie. How much government money are we going to waste on their witch hunt before we say, there's nothing to this? This is kind of ridiculous. And back to Travis Taylor, he's another person, former government official. And he says that the government's hiding aliens or whatever he said. He's backing up some of the other people. One moment here. Just bear with me for a second here. So Travis Taylor is another person that they don't give you the history of. Travis Taylor has been making wild, out of this world claims about aliens, UFOs, and shit at Skinwalker Ranch for years. He's on the Skinwalker Ranch television show, which has been going for how many seasons now? And how much real, verifiable evidence or proof have that group shown for all the money they've made on their television show and their book deals and the documentaries, right? And Travis Taylor has been central to an awful lot of that. And he's a complete and total wackadoo who also, by the way, accused Stephen Greenstreet of being like a CIA disinformation agent that was being paid by the government to, muddy the waters and hide the truth about those aliens, a claim which Stephen Greenstreet of the New York Post denies. And by the way, that Ross Coulthard clip was actually from Stephen Greenstreet as well. Greenstreet took Gonzo with balloons flying and added it to their promo, but otherwise that was their promo, where they lied to the public and said, we have conclusive proof of alien technology, in order to get all these people to click on that video. That documentary was so deceptive that they took it off of YouTube because they could lose, the people that put it out could lose their YouTube channel because it was so deceptive. That's my opinion with why they took it down. There was huge blowback because all the promos said Gary Nolan and Ross Coulthard are saying conclusive proof of alien technology, all confirmed by this man. And then they cut to a shot of Michio Kaku. Michio Kaku didn't confirm shit. They didn't have any evidence. But back to Travis Taylor, who's a complete and total wackadoo. This guy has made wacky claims. He's on Skinwalker Ranch. He's shooting rockets up in the sky and claiming there's portals up there. He's claiming that insects and shit are aliens somehow. It's an alien spacecraft doing 10,000 miles an hour. No, it was a bug that flew past the camera, you moron. And he's an optical physicist. So what we learn from all these wackadoos is just because somebody has an education or work from the government doesn't mean you should believe them. They're still susceptible to becoming a victim of their own faith-based belief system. All these people truly believe this stuff, some of them. I'm sure some of them don't, and it's just a grift or a scam, but who knows? But back to Travis Taylor. This is one of my favorite bits of Travis Taylor. Travis Taylor is in this video backing up the claims of other people. And another thing, they constantly in this film make people repeat the same talking points over and over again. It's almost hypnotic. I noticed it more the second time I watched it. And the claims they make are things like this. These things defy the laws of physics. These things operate outside of our own capability. Well, can you show us the evidence that they defy the laws of physics? Can we see an actual real physicist? Travis Taylor may be one of the people that said something like they defy the laws of physics, or, we can't do what they do, essentially. And again, I'm paraphrasing, so don't sue me. They cannot show you a real physicist, and I mean a real physicist that's not included in this UFO wackadoo group. A well-respected real physicist has never come forward and say, yeah, this is proof that UFOs defy the laws of physics. Yet they keep saying that talking point. They defy the laws of physics. This is outside our understanding of physics. Well, let's see a real physicist confirm your statement of fact without any evidence. Shouldn't you have to back up that with like a physicist standing there and explaining how and why we have the proof and evidence that they defy the laws of physics? But we never get that because this talking point, these UFOs defy the laws of physics. Which ones? The fake balloons that you showed? Which ones? The fake airplanes that weren't UFOs that you showed? Which ones? The lanterns? Did they defy the laws of physics? And what about Lou Elizondo and all his fake shit? Did the fake chandelier video? It was a reflection of a chandelier in a window. Somebody took a picture through a window. It was a fake UFO. Lou Elizondo called it a mothership. Did that mothership defy the laws of physics? So even if somebody is a physicist and they're saying this stuff, where's the evidence, Travis Taylor? Where's the proof? There is none. And Travis Taylor is a fucking wackadoo, and I have proof of it.
I'm Dr. Travis Taylor. I'm a subject matter expert in space defense, asymmetric warfare, rocket science, and alien invasions. I've really studied this phenomenon my whole life, and I've made a pretty good detailed investigation into what might happen where we have first contact with extraterrestrials. Now, this message is a welcome and a warning for any UFOs or aliens out there that might receive this signal and decide to act upon it. First, the signal was sent against my advisement. Second, if you do show up, you got to keep this in mind. Humanity is mostly a peace-loving, fun-loving species, but we have a very good propensity to make warfare, and if anybody shows up and tries to impose things on us, cultural or alien concepts that are something against what we're all about, we will make darn sure to activate our warfare-making machine. So keep that in mind and come visit us. We'll have a good time. We'll learn from each other. We'll see y'all soon.
Does that sound like somebody, Dan Farah, that you should trust when they just make statements of fact without any evidence to support those facts? And by the way, that was a comedic parody and is covered under fair use. I'm sorry, I couldn't find the banner. Now I find it. Fair use and a comedic parody. Okay, so that was fair use because it was a comedic parody. I'm trying to cover all my bases, friends, because they're going to do everything they can to try to take this video down. They don't want anybody seeing this, especially before they plop down the $25 to buy this piece of shit documentary. How he had a job. How did he have a job in the government, right? Darren Kern, I don't know what you're talking about. We don't dox people. Oh, geez. Yeah, at least the last part made sense. Jethro Dunn graduated 6th grade. All right, so let me get back to some of the other wonderful media assets. And by the way, some of these are very old clips, but I still think it's relevant. Like they show parts of the congressional hearing, but what they don't show you is they don't show you that during that congressional hearing, some of the biggest UFO scammers and grifters were also in that congressional hearing, sitting right behind the people that testified. And some of the people testifying were on those people's podcasts, like Sean Ryan, like Jeremy Corbell, like George Knapp. George Knapp's one of my favorites. And again, some of the best clips out there that I've collected are from Stephen Greenstreet. George Knapp is about as credible as a crackhead, and he tells some funny stories, and this is one of them.
They come down this dirt road one night, and they see two figures, humanoid-looking figures, standing up with their backs to the road, and looked like they were smoking cigarettes. They had trench coats on, smoking cigarettes, standing out on the road. These guys figure, what are these fellas up to? So they're pulling up, and they shining their lights on the guys, and they turn around, and they were dogs.
Yeah, totally credible that during a Senate hearing, this fucking guy is sitting behind the people testifying and has had some of them on his podcast and, grifted with some of them. And then, of course, there's no evidence of so much of the stuff, right? And besides the dog story, my other favorite, and Stephen Greenstreet captured these. I don't know where he got them. Follow him at Middle of Mayhem is the wolf story.
I saw this. Standing on two legs, a wolf creature, a wolf standing in her yard, its paws crossed like this, leaning on a tree, staring back at
her. That's one of my favorites. And to be clear, George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell and Sean Ryan are not in the movie, but it should be noted, if you're going to use clips from a congressional hearing where these complete and total wackadoos who make their full-time living, and many of which have made millions of dollars selling fake alien stories, are in the audience at the hearing and have had some of the people testifying on their shows, you should disclose that in your documentary. And, that's just my opinion. Now, I'm trying to go through here my list of media that we have that we can share. And I think we've gotten a good deal of it so far. But I have more to share with you from Dan Farah. I can't share clips from his film, or I might get copyright striked, or I might get a digital millennium copyright takedown just because I shared a clip of your video while I was confirming it. And we're going to go next to some of the slides that I have, because there has been various reporting by Stephen Greenstreet and also by the government's own. Well, I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. Let me see here. We'll get it. I've got too many tabs open. You ever have that problem? One moment. Okay, share this tab. So one of the things that is important to realize and understand is that all these people that are in this film, most of them know each other and have known each other for a long time. And many of them are telling each other stories. And then they go repeat the story that they were told by their friend. So just to illustrate a point, Hal Puthoff tells Eric Davis a story. Eric Davis then tells David Grush a story. Now you've got three people telling the same story, and then they back each other up. In this film, Eric Davis literally says Dave Grush is telling the truth about those aliens. Well, he's the guy who sent him on the wild goose chase, according to his own words. And Hal Puthoff is a complete and total lunatic. Remember, Hal Puthoff is the guy who studied Uri Geller and determined that his superpowers were real. I'm here to tell you, as a former stage magician, that Uri Geller admitted at an International Brotherhood of Magicians conference that he lectured at that all of his superpowers were magic tricks. Uri Geller did children's magic tricks for Hal Puthoff, and Hal Puthoff wasted tons of government money studying psychics. And he was completely convinced that Uri Geller had superpowers and can bend spoons with his mind. It was all children's magic tricks. Then we get to Grush. This guy's presented no evidence or proof of his claims. And it's been how many days? Days since June 5th, 2023. David Grush first came out June 5th, 2023, claiming the government had aliens and he was sure of it. And he had all these firsthand sources and he had all this evidence. And he was going to blow the whistle on the government hiding aliens. And then remember what they didn't tell you when they were selling the stories of him initially. And by the way, the David Grush UFO nonsense generated millions and millions of dollars in monetized views on YouTube. A lot of less than credible assholes like Jesse Michaels and others, Ross Coulthard, everybody jumped in to get some of that sweet, sweet Grush money, because here's a former government official and he's saying the government's hiding aliens and even alien bodies. Of course, he also said that interdimensional alien space goblins were murdering humans on Earth. They downplay that one. And they forgot to tell you that this guy's been in a mental institution 2 times and he has absolutely no evidence or proof of his claims. And Dave Grush, since he made his initial claims, it's been 913 days and he still has yet to prove any of his initial claims. They promised that he had all this evidence. He's got 40 more whistleblowers and they're all going to testify. The other whistleblowers were his friends, people like Eric Davis, people like Hal Puthoff. And here's a candid shot of them together from the film. And once again, I'm going to put my fair use banner up. This is fair use. I'm allowed to show a slide from the film while I'm educating the public about this farce of a UFO documentary full of deception, half-truths, and lies. So this whole thing is so ridiculous to me. But I'm glad that I'm here to cover this, because I've been here for so long that I remember the previous deceptions that these people used to sell their other shit. And remember, Hal Puthoff has been a part of what I would describe as free energy scams. He was part of the TTSA techno scam where they collected millions of dollars and promised everybody a spaceship. What happened to all that money? How much money, Hal Puthoff, did you collect to study free energy? And can you show us a working prototype? Because you're sure, right? You're sure that the government is hiding aliens because the free energy implications, right? And he's even telling people in this film, Eric Davis and Hal Puthoff are telling people they know exactly how the UFOs work. It's a space bubble. Like a warp bubble? Really? Okay. Take a moment to thank Railroad Bum for a kind and generous 5. 1 for the goal, Stephen. Happy holidays and happy feltoning of these assholes. Great to see you back. Good to see you. And haven't seen you in a while. Always good to see a returning supporter. Come back in the live chat, especially when they throw a couple bucks in my hat and keep us honest here. See, we don't have to lie to people in order for people to support us. Some of these people never figured that out. But thank you, Railroad Bum, for your kindness, generosity, and support. All right, one moment. So the next thing that I have to share is just another comedic parody. Let me see if I can't get that fair use banner up. Again, I apologize, but I'm trying my best to cover all of our bases here. Because one way or the other, this group of wackadoos is going to try to get this video taken down. At least that's my personal belief. They're trying to take down memes where people are making fun of this movie. Am I not supposed to think that my scathing review, where I give everybody all of the proof that the filmmaker didn't give you about the wackadoos making these claims, isn't going to get attacked? Of course it's going to get attacked. They're going to do everything they can to stop as many people as possible from seeing tonight's broadcast because they're intellectual weaklings and cowards. They cannot debate me. They won't debate me because I will rip them to shreds and leave them in a puddle of their own piss and shit and tears. Because we have the truth on their side, on our side, and they all have a history of making wackadoo, out of this world claims, right? Eric Davis, he said that he was giving briefings about non-human intelligences to people and the government has aliens. He said that years and years ago. Did you not include that in your film, Dan Farrow? Why didn't you include that in your film? Could it be because he's never proven any of those initial claims from 5 years ago? Could it be maybe that you don't want his history? And by the way, Eric Davis once did a research project for the Air Force and wasted an incredible amount of money. And when he was done, he gave them papers where Einstein was waving to Barney the dinosaur through a portal. And he said, Stargates are real and all this shit. And they could enable time travel and interdimensional travel and travel through the solar system. He got paid by the Air Force to do a theoretical physics project. When he was done, they called his work crackpot science. He was called a crackpot by the Air Force. I, Dan Farrow, have the original article in the newspaper where they called his work crackpot science. Don't you think it might have been relevant when you have a guy like Eric Davis saying the government's hiding aliens? And I know for a fact there's 2 alien species. Don't you think it's relevant that his work was laughed at by the Air Force and called crackpot science? Don't you think it's relevant to tell the viewers that? You had to leave that out of your film so that maybe people would believe this guy saying there's 2 alien species. Oh, and also we'll get into the Hollowman Air Force. That's another thing. They included a bunch of long debunked fake UFO cases in this documentary. And we're going to show you the proof of that only here tonight on Truth Seekers. If you're just joining us, you're watching Truth Seekers. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share these videos on your social media. It really does help. Tonight, I'm giving you my scathing review of what I call the age of deception, but what these filmmakers and bunch of wackadoos called the age of disclosure. So again, David Grush made all these claims. Goblin space monsters are murdering people on Earth. We have alien bodies and biologics. Sure we do. Where's your proof? Oh, I'm going to show you the proof. Well, it's been 900 plus days and David Grush has yet to show us any evidence, any proof. Oh, I know. It's classified, so he can't. Bullshit. Bullshit. He's a bullshitter, just like the rest of these people. They're all sitting around telling each other alien stories, and they're using each other for sources. It's very clear. This is what has been described as a self-licking ice cream cone. My term for it is a UFO circle jerk, but self-licking ice cream cone, circular reporting, it's the same group of people over and over again, bilking the public for every dollar they can for their evidence-free stories. And David Grush, in my opinion, people get mad. Oh, he's a veteran. You shouldn't make fun of him, Stephen. He served our country. You can't make fun of him, right? He also claimed that he didn't have any mental problems in his original interview. David Grush was asked, do you have any mental problems in his original interview with Ross Coulthard? He said no. He just forgot to tell you that he got put in a mental institution twice and was also apparently or allegedly being treated for post-traumatic stress disorder. But he was an intelligence officer and never saw combat or never showed proof that he ever saw combat. So how did he get post-traumatic stress disorder? No, I'll make fun of this bullshitter whenever I want. David Grush is a wackadoo who I think is the victim of people like Hal Puthoff and people like Eric Davis and people like Lou Elizondo, who spun him up like a top and told him all these alien stories and swore that the stories were true and sent him out on a mission to find those aliens and go become a whistleblower so we can all make more money off this shit. It's ridiculous.
My boss got the email, he forwarded it to me, and he's like, do you want to do this? And I thought, well, I guess I was kind of the right guy that was chosen to do this thing, I guess. But maybe it was like a joke or something. Maybe it was like a psyop on me or something. I don't even know.
Do you want a chocolate?
Maybe it was a joke on me. Maybe it was a psyop. Or maybe a group of less than credible, less than believable government insiders with a faith-based belief system that aliens are visiting Earth and even murdering humans on Earth. This is absolutely ridiculous. Maybe he was manipulated. By the way, there is an ample and supportive history of UFO scammers and grifters manipulating and using mentally vulnerable people to help them sell alien stories to the gullible public. And I believe that that supportive evidence is demonstratable. But unfortunately for tonight's broadcast, I have so much else to share that we'll say it like that. And if people need examples of how mentally vulnerable individuals were exploited to sell alien and UFO stories, maybe I'll do a separate show on the disgusting, despicable scumbags that manipulate mentally vulnerable people or mentally ill people into helping them sell their alien fantasies to the gullible public. All right. Trucking right along, I want to get back to my notes of this, the most deceptive, shittiest UFO documentary I've ever seen. So in the film, they say, and I'd just like to say again, all these people in the film saying this stuff, well, don't say it. Don't tell me. Show me. Show me your proof of the government hiding aliens. Show me your proof of alien crash retrievals. Show me your proof of alien bodies. Oh, we don't got shit. You don't got shit and you're charging people $25 for a bunch of wackadoos just saying things? Like this is the level of stupidity and childishness that we have gotten to. And of course, they're cherry-picked the Senate media. They cherry-pick the media and they cut out anything skeptical of these people. They cherry-pick the UFO hearings in Congress to make it sound more believable. It's incredibly deceptively edited. Back to Gary Nolan. Gary Nolan is a CIA shill. By his own admission, he's worked for the CIA. He's claiming that the CIA came to him and wanted him to look at medical records of people who were close to UFOs or UAPs and somehow had, detrimental health effects. Well, show us the fucking medical records, Gary Nolan. Oh, sorry, can't do that. HIPAA laws, or it's classified, or the CIA won't let me. There's always an excuse. These are nothing but trust me, bro stories. And then when you press them for evidence, they lose their shit and they start claiming that they can't because it's classified or they signed NDAs. By the way, the government's office that is supposed to be investigating this stuff said there's no UAP, UFO, or alien specific NDAs. There is none. So these people could say whatever they want, but apparently they can't. So it's just a big excuse. We've covered they defy the laws of physics. These weren't made by humans. Okay, you've got multiple people saying these things weren't made by humans in this film. Show me evidence that these things were not made by humans. Oh, we don't got shit. We don't got shit. Show me evidence and proof that these things defy the laws of physics. Sorry, we don't got shit to prove that. We'll just make 10 people in the film say it over and over again hypnotically, like neuro-linguistic programming, try to hypnotize these fucking morons paying $25 for this piece of shit movie. Okay. So Eric Davis in this movie says that he was told by George Bush Sr. that the Russians recovered an alien spacecraft with alien bodies. That's another convenient way that these assholes sell fake stories. Well, George Bush Sr. is dead, so nobody can fact check that he actually said that to Eric Davis. Eric Davis can provide no proof that he ever met with George Bush Sr. And by the way, Eric Davis, you fucking moron, Eric Davis in this movie said that he had a meeting with George Bush Sr., who told him that the Russians recovered alien spaceships and alien bodies. I went to the George H.W. Bush. I always get those two confused. Let's make sure that we're getting it right. Is Herbert Walker, which one is the senior? He was saying it was the senior. Yes. Okay. George H.W. Bush had a meeting with Eric Davis, and he told him all about the Russians getting the alien spaceships, and he told him all about the Russians recovering alien bodies. There's no mention of Eric Davis in the George H.W. Bush Presidential Library. So is that just bullshit? Can you provide any evidence or proof? Dan Farah, the filmmaker, Lou Elizondo, the executive producer, Jay Stratton, another fucking moron executive producer of this piece of shit. Can you provide any evidence or proof that Eric Davis ever met with George H.W. Bush? Listen, if I was going to meet a fucking president, I'd have a picture with him. Can we see the picture Eric Davis took when he met H.W. Bush and was briefed about the Russian alien crash retrieval alien bodies bullshit? Of course not. Of course not. Troll. I want to hear about the landing at Holloman Air Force Base. Okay, well, that's next up on my list. We'll get to that. That is one of the debunked stories that they sold. Okay, so people in this film said that UFOs or aliens are activated and deactivated missiles in Russia and the United States. I'd love to see the evidence for that. I'd love to see the proof for that. And I don't mean one guy telling a story, right? And also, they included the Maelstrom incident, which has been completely and totally debunked. Go look up the UFO movie They Don't Want You to See by Skeptoid. He completely destroys the Maelstrom incident where people claimed that UFOs were seen and then the missiles shut down. It was a power failure. I guess you didn't give them the skeptical side of the story, Dan Farah. Again, you left that out. You know, how many of the parts of this story that Dan Farah is telling us did he leave out information? And the truth is, every single story in this film, Dan Farah, the filmmaker, or the people involved here, purposefully left out the entire skeptical side of the story that proves the story is fake. This is not a coincidence, right? Jay Stratton is saying that he's giving congressional briefings in this film. Can we see the evidence or the proof that he ever gave congressmen briefings on aliens or UFOs? Wouldn't there be some paperwork? Wouldn't that be foiable? Couldn't we get that? I guess not. Then, of course, they show videos of the Tic Tac and the Go Fast, which has been largely debunked. The Tic Tac, there's no evidence or proof it was an alien spacecraft. People could say what they want. David Fravor's been telling that story for years and years and years. And there's no censored data to confirm the wild claims made. And by the way, there's multiple stories depending on who's telling the story of the Tic Tac. And the Go Fast wasn't going fast. That was debunked as going 40 miles an hour. So why include that in your documentary if that isn't anything extraordinary, right? And then, of course, there's Marco Rubio and the selective editing. He's now walking back. Let's talk for a moment about the all the government people. So we've got Kristen Gillibrand, and we've also got Anna Paulina Luna and Tim Burchett and Eric Burleson. Eric Burleson is a fucking moron, and he should be fired from his job in Congress immediately. He hired David Grush, a mentally ill man. He hired David Grush to be like an advisor to help him hunt aliens. And David Grush is right now getting paid our taxpayer dollars, a former mental patient who for 900 days now has shown no proof of his claims, no evidence of his claims. Eric Burleson is a complete and total fucking lunatic. Why is Eric Burleson paying a former mental patient who claims that the government is hiding aliens but can't show us any proof? Why are we paying that guy like money? It's so funny. And it's so funny that some of these guys even rat each other out. There's a lot of infighting. And here's a funny one. The New York Post story, Dr. Davis believing stories he was told about aliens landing at Hollowman. So let's do the Hollowman. Here's Dr. Travis, the hillbilly, who thought that a bug was an alien spacecraft traveling 10,000 miles an hour. And even he says Eric Davis is full of shit and just believes anything people tell him.
I will tell you this. Eric has a tendency to accept and believe
again, fair use.
Stories from pseudo-credible, because of where they come from. Then he assumes what they're telling him is a credible story without getting the background data to prove their story. Like if I told Eric that the moon, there were aliens on the moon, Eric would probably believe me, right? And I don't mean that as a discredit to Eric. Eric is he's trustworthy, very, very trustworthy of people that he trusts.
Oh, he's trustworthy.
But
he believes anything people tell him. That's the basic gist of
this. Is find a better way to show proof than simply the stories.
Yeah.
I will tell you.
He needs to find a better way to show proof than just the stories. Meanwhile, all Travis Taylor has is stories and no evidence. So it's kind of ridiculous. And now we go one moment here. Again, I've got too many tabs open. Let me close down some of this crap. Oh, boy. Okay, we'll go to the Hollowman. They're so desperate for material in this film, even though they have 30 plus people from the government that are all saying this, like basically, oh yeah, the government's got aliens, I'm sure of it. Okay, Mr. Trust Me Bro, can we see the evidence? Sure, we're going to tell you some evidence. One time at Hollowman Air Force Base, aliens landed and had a meeting with government officials. Wow, well, that one sounds pretty impressive. What's your evidence? What's your evidence or your proof that aliens landed at Hollowman Air Force Base? What is your evidence or proof for that? Well, we got to go all the way back to 1988. And by the way, the actual events happened in the 70s. They have to go back to a 50-year-old long debunked bullshit story, evidence-free story. This entire Hollowman, the basic gist of the story is that aliens landed at Hollowman Air Force Base and had meetings with government officials. And there's been various retellings of this story. It's in 10 books. There's no evidence of this. Some people claim that Dwight Eisenhower met with the aliens at Hollowman Air Force Base. But presidential records prove that he couldn't have been at Hollowman Air Force Base because he was in another state having dental work done. Oh no, Stephen, that was just the cover story. This Hollowman Air Force Base is a piece of shit. And the piece of shit story. This is the shittiest bottom of the barrel UFO slop that they could come up with. A 50-year-old long debunked piece of shit story that only evidence is a bunch of bullshitters and storytellers. There's no firsthand witnesses. Go find some. There's no firsthand witnesses to aliens landing at Hollowman Air Force Base. Go find one. You can't. Because it's one guy telling a story to another guy, to another guy, to another guy, to another guy. And People embellish, they add on to the story. Like I said, in some tellings of the story, Eisenhower wasn't involved. In other tellings of the story, Eisenhower was involved. And by the way, it wasn't the 70s. It goes further back to when Eisenhower was president. Eisenhower had meetings with aliens, right, at this Air Force base. And then stories get conflated. Did this happen in the 70s or did this happen when Eisenhower was president? Well, we'll just put both of the shit. Who cares? Nobody will research this. Nobody will fact check anything. So 1988, UFO Cover-Up Live, which, by the way, was a lot of the information in this television special was provided by Richard Doty, who is a known, admitted, paid government disinformation agent that purposefully injected fake stories into the UFO community for God knows what reason, but he was paid to do so. So this is how far back Dan Farah, Jay Stratton, and Lou Elizondo have to go to convince you that the government knows that aliens are visiting Earth. A decades-old, long debunked story. And the only evidence there's ever been for this is a few-second film of what looks like a light descending from the sky. And they say, well, the government had the film of the whole thing, the meeting, the aliens, all of it. But they only let out just that little piece of the film that shows the alien spacecraft coming down for a landing at Hollowman Air Force Base. That's their only evidence of anything that this story is true. And that little bit of footage has been completely and totally debunked as an airplane coming down. And I'm going to show you the proof of that. But let's sample the poison well of disinformation, misinformation, and just fake old UFO stories that these assholes, Lou Elizondo and Dan Farah and all these other lunatics, are using for their evidence and their proof. Oh, no, there was Hollowman Air Force Base. The aliens landed. Well, where'd you hear that? Oh, somebody in the Legacy program told me about that. George Bush told me, according to Eric Davis, George Bush told him that aliens landed at Hollowman as well. Well, George Bush is dead, so we can't fact check that. No mention of Eric Davis ever in the George H.W. Bush library. No picture of Eric Davis meeting George H.W. Bush. I think they just got it from this old television show from 1988. Let's watch these assholes where they get their information. This is so stupid. This is where they got it.
Our security manager and chief of requirements for the audio-visual program at Norton Air Force Base, Paul Shartle. Gentlemen, Mr. Emenegger, how did you get involved with UFOs?
Well, it was in 1973 when I was vice president at Gray Advertising, and I took time out and went to Norton Air Force Base to explore subjects for television specials related to the Defense Department. While discussing several of the subjects, UFOs came up, and Paul here told us about a film of a landing of alien crafts at Hollowman Air Force Base.
Yeah, so as the story goes, this guy wants to make some films about the defense industry, and then the government comes to them and says, we've got a film that we want you to put out, and it's aliens visiting Earth. And so he's very interested. And then he makes the whole film, and then they won't let him have the film. They keep dragging their feet. But they let him have like 5 seconds of it, of the total film, which was just a light in the sky coming down for a landing, which was later debunked to be just an airplane coming down. So you see the levels of trickery and deception. Dan Farah, why didn't you include that footage has been completely debunked in your shitty documentary you're charging people $25 to get the truth for?
About 3 years earlier.
What did you see, Mr. Shartle?
I saw footage of 3 dish-shaped crafts. One of the craft landed and 2 of them went away.
Why did it land?
It appeared to be in trouble because it oscillated all the way down to the ground. However, it did land on 3 pods. A sliding door opened, a ramp was extended, and out.
And of course, the film that we get looks nothing like what this gentleman is describing.
Came 3 aliens.
What did they look like?
Well, they were human-sized. They had odd gray complexion and a pronounced nose. They wore tight-fitting jumpsuits, thin headdresses that appeared to be communication devices, and in their hands, they held a translator.
Oh, a universal translator, kind of like Star Trek. This is, of course, 1988. It's post-Star Trek.
I was told.
They had universal translators, friends, just like Star Trek.
a hollowman base commander and other Air Force
And of course, nobody else has ever seen this film, just this guy.
officers went out to meet me.
You actually saw these aliens on the film?
Yes.
This film footage sounded very, very special, and we wanted to use it as the ending of our television special.
And did you? Was it in your special?
Well, although the Pentagon had been very, very cooperative all the way, at the last minute, the film was confiscated, and we lost the whole finale of our show. But
Lucy and the football. And by the way, do you know who was directly involved in manipulating these people? In my opinion, Richard Doty, who has contributed a multitude of completely and totally fake UFO and alien stories that he leaked out to different UFO researchers, authors, filmmakers, for whatever reason. And those stories were fake. Did Richard Doty leak this story to these gentlemen? Who knows? But we know he was involved in this television special because he very crudely disguised his voice and was in shadow in this. But I'm sorry, this is the level of desperation that Lou Elizondo and crew has gone to. Let's go to a long debunked bullshit evidence-free story from 1988. That's when this story got big, but it was around for longer than that.
But what I saw and heard,
parts of it were.
It was enough to convince me that, the phenomenon of UFOs is real, very real.
Mr. Shartle, what did your superior officers tell you?
I was told it was theatrical footage the Air Force has purchased to make a training film.
Okay, so he saw a film, and then he was told it was theatrical footage that the Air Force purchased to make a training film. Why would you need a training film of aliens landing on Earth? I don't know, but this is where things get murky, and it's like smoke and mirrors, and like, did he see a real film? Did he see a fake film that they fed him on purpose in order to get him to go on television and talk about aliens? Who knows? Welcome to the quagmire that is UFO land.
Sounds plausible, doesn't it?
Well, if it were a theatrical film, why didn't I have a record of this? It was my job to keep accurate records of all audiovisual purchases.
Is there any other reason that you feel this was not a theatrical film?
Yes, it was too real. The people who were shooting that day were Air Force personnel. Lucky for us,
take our word for it.
The day they were shooting, they were doing an acceleration test.
It's too bad we couldn't get that footage from the Air Force. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being with us.
Then they put the documentary out, and then I find out
Here's
that there's 8
Grant
seconds
Cameron.
of the Hollowman Air Force Base film in the film.
And of course, again, everybody tacks on to the story. So, there's this film that comes out, and then Grant Cameron says, oh, there's 8 seconds of the original government film of the aliens landing. And they put it in the film. What a groundbreaking thing. Let's all go back to that old film and let's watch that 8 seconds of the alien spaceship landing. And when you see this piece of shit film that they're claiming is an alien spaceship, oh my God, it's so gay and so stupid.
So Bob's my friend. I phone up Bob. There's 8 seconds of film in there. And he goes, well, yeah. And I said, you told me to hold the film. You told me it was sent back to the Pentagon. And he said, well, it did. And he told me this whole story about the guy going across the country in this small Datsun, taking the film back to the Pentagon. I said, but there's 8 seconds of film in the documentary.
Yeah, so a guy drove across the country in a Datsun with the film. Sure, okay.
And then he said the key words. He said, but it didn't show anything. And I said, oh, no, he said, it's background. And I said, background? What do you mean it's background? And he said, it didn't show anything. And what it is you see the hills of Hollowman, and you see this object, this brilliantly lit object.
No, this is supposed to be an alien spaceship landing at Hollowman Air Force Base.
6 o'clock in the morning coming over the hills, but it's in a distance. So you don't see it close up, and you don't see the alien when the alien gets out. That's the classified part. So they want you to know that Hollowman happened, and they allowed them to use the 8 seconds of the film, but the rest of the film to classify.
This film is so grainy and shitty, it could be literally anything. It could be a kite. It could be a balloon. It could be a seagull. But we're going to show you what it actually is.
The classified part was pulled.
The classified part was pulled. Okay. Now, we'll show you the debunk that Dan Farah, Lou Elizondo, and Jay Stratton would not dare show you, because they don't want you to know that Eric Davis is telling a porky here. Like, the president, the former president, or the president, George Bush, he told me that the aliens landed at Hollowman. Okay. And the only evidence for that is this shit film that's been out in the zeitgeist in the UFO community for decades. But the film is completely and totally debunked by not one, but several different researchers, including one that's an aircraft expert.
But if the shot isn't part of the legendary lost film, what does it actually show?
And by the way, again, fair use. We are critiquing the video being shared, and we're educating the public about the things that filmmaker Lou Elizondo and friends Dan Farah and Jay Stratton didn't want you to know. They're telling you that Hollowman Air Force Base aliens landed there. The only evidence or proof of that is a bunch of stories and this 8-second piece of film that depicts, allegedly depicts an alien spacecraft coming in for a landing at Hollowman Air Force Base.
So descending from the sky. What was coming in to land at Hollowman that day? Well, I'm happy to say I can answer this somewhat definitively.
Yeah, so we know what this film shows. Guess what it doesn't show, Lou Elizondo, you dumbass? Guess what it doesn't show, Dan Farah and Jay Stratton, you dumbass? It doesn't show an alien spaceship landing at an Air Force base. It shows something that's very ordinary landing at the Air Force base.
Acquired a copy of the officially released 2007 DVD of the documentary. I quickly fast-forwarded to the landing footage and was momentarily stunned by what that extra detail revealed. It's a plane.
So when you get it, not grainy as shit on the internet, if you get it from the original source where they remastered it, and of course sold it again, this film from the 70s, they remastered and sold it again, and a bunch of UFO dorks, including me, I'm one of those dorks, bought it again on DVD so it would be higher quality. But once it's higher quality, there's a little more details in this film that you're able to discern, and many people, including this gentleman, discerned it.
The details are faint, but the wings and landing gear are unmistakable. The YouTube compression might completely obliterate the details here, so I'm going to let it play a few times while I tweak the settings on the footage. It won't.
Oh, what do you know? The alien spacecraft has wings and landing gear, Lou Elizondo. It has wings and landing gear, Dan Farah, filmmaker extraordinaire. Why didn't you include this in your film? Why didn't you include a debunk showing that nothing extraordinary landed at Hollowman Air Force Base?
Pretty, but I'm hoping one of these combinations will help.
Look at
the
that.
Wings and the landing gear.
Pretty clearly a fucking airplane. It's a fucking airplane, Dan Farah. It's a fucking airplane, Eric Davis. It's a fucking airplane, Lou Elizondo.
Survive the compression process. Now, you may be wondering, what is the round white glowing thing? And that's a good question. My first instinct was that the film was being run in reverse, and that what we're actually seeing are the plane's afterburners as it flies away from us.
That's what I thought when I first saw this.
But the landing gear is clearly down, and if the plane was heading away from us, the landing gear would have already been stowed. So it's likely coming in for a landing rather than taking off. Now, we know the base had F-4s at the time, so it's logical to wonder if the incoming plane might also be a Phantom. And as shown in this footage, the F-4 Phantom had an intensely bright light that was...
It's just a light on the front of a fucking airplane. What a letdown. Welcome to UFO land, where all you get is fake stories and letdown. Once you get the whole story, it's a complete and total letdown. And listen, I get it. This film sounds good, sells it very well. Oh, yeah. All these government officials say an alien landed at Hollowman Air Force Base, and there's even footage of it. But they left out this part, that the footage has been completely debunked. And that's the only evidence ever that has been the only evidence that you can actually dig into and
sometimes you...
Oh, no, come on. Are we going to buffer now? It's a potato camera. Pardon me. I apologize. We're under deep state attack. The men in black are trying to stop me from telling you the truth about the fake aliens. Let's see if we can't get back to this. One moment.
Let's do a quick comparison between the craft in the footage and a photo of an F-4 landing with its light on. It's purely subjective, but that looks like a pretty close match to me. The wingspan, the width of the landing gear, the placement of the light, the way the nose peeks out above the light, it all seems to line up pretty well. But there's no way to say for certain, and at this point, I don't think the type of plane is very important. What we can now say with a fair degree of certainty is that the landing shot in the documentary is not footage from the fabled Hollowman UFO landing film.
Yeah. So there we have it. Very good debunk of this completely and totally fake UFO footage. It's a fucking airplane. And the YouTube channel you could watch that on is called Here Suddenly. And the video title, if you want to watch it in full, is The Hollowman Landing, New Data. And I, for one, applaud that person for doing this. And a couple other people have done similar debunks showing that what is depicted in the film, the fabled 8-second film, is not an alien spacecraft. It's a fucking airplane. Lou Elizondo, you moron, right? It's just one of those things, right? Just ridiculous. And now we're going to get into, and here's where it gets ridiculous, because people start reporting in this circular reporting. Even the New York Post, they reported this story out of this film. President George H.W. Bush knew of 1964 alien contact with humans in New Mexico documentary. Yeah. It's absolutely ridiculous. So the whole story to begin with is fake, and there's no evidence for it. But then a new person, Eric Davis, tells the story, and he adds details. George H.W. Bush told me that the aliens landed at Hollowman. They just forget to tell you that the only evidence ever presented for that case was an 8-second grainy-ass film. But once you get the good version of the film, you can clearly see wings and landing gear. It's a fucking airplane, you morons. Yes, and Steve, UAP or SAP is here. Steve Long is here. Says, of course they could have known the whole time. They could have known that the story is fake, right? I wish I could be in a fly on the wall each time Lou Elizondo finds out another one of his images was a fake. Yeah, you got it, man. That's this whole thing is like ridiculous. So are we starting to see how deceptive this all was? Editing this together, but leaving out all of this information. The reason why people are willing to believe this is because this whole film is like propaganda. They're only telling you one side of the story. Go aliens, right? And of course, it just gets worse and worse from here. But we're going to start on the one moment here. I'm just going to get cued. Since I can't play you any of the film clips, we've played one 21-second clip. I don't want to play any more. I'm going to share some clips from Joe Rogan. But again, even with that, I have to be careful. Joe Rogan used to use like a pirate vulture kind of copyright claim where you played 2 seconds of his film and they would copyright claim you. I'm hopeful that won't happen here, but I'm going to play it smaller than usual just in case. One moment here. There we go. So here's the filmmaker himself making ridiculous claims. And again, this is how this disinformation and misinformation gets proliferated throughout the UFO community. Because one less than credible person will say something, and then another person who's done no research and doesn't know the full story will repeat it on a large platform like Joe Rogan, and we get this situation, right? And again, this is fair use. We're critiquing the video and we're educating the public about this disgusting, despicable, deceptive age of disclosure. I call it the age of deception because they had to deceive you to get you to buy this piece of shit.
When people talk about the successful back engineering of these things, what are they saying? Are they saying that they can fly around Earth? Are they saying they can go outside of Earth's atmosphere and go into deep space with these things? Like, what have they said we are currently able to do with these back engineered crafts that we've supposedly
people that I
made
can't
ourselves?
attribute the statement to that were very credible sources told me that some
Dan Farah just said very credible sources. What I have shown you tonight is just a small sampling of how nobody in his film is credible, about how everybody in his film is extremely problematic from a believability standpoint based on their history of telling tall tales with no evidence, of scamming the public for fake UFO. There's people in his documentary who've been directly involved with scamming the public for fake UFO stories and gotten caught. And he just called them credible sources.
Some of the UAP activity in space specifically is reverse engineered technology.
Okay. Does that mean in space in low Earth orbit? Or does that mean traveling through the solar system?
And here we go with speculation. And no evidence.
What was implied to me was traveling through the solar system.
Oh, so somebody implied that we've captured alien spaceships and we can use them to travel throughout the solar system. Okay, show us, high resolution images of Pluto or Jupiter that you took while you were traveling throughout the solar system in these captured UAPs. Oh, sorry, we can't. But credible sources told me this. We've shown you how credible Dan Farah's sources are. Every source he uses in this is about as credible as a crackhead in this whole documentary.
Jeez.
Including the lawmakers, by the way. And we're going to show you some evidence of that.
Yeah.
So are these
Here's another thing someone that same person said to me, by the way.
Yeah.
So before I forget, that their belief is that the technology we have would not be pulled out even to stop a world war.
More speculation.
It would not, those cards would not be shown until moments before like a nuclear war situation.
It's so secret. We wouldn't even use it to stop. We'd only use it to stop a nuclear war.
So they wouldn't pull it out to stop like any of the wars we've experienced in the last, since World War II. They wouldn't, regardless of how many.
It has to get to 9.
Another. And this is where it gets ridiculous because then there gets to be just more Trust Me Bro stories piled on top of this documentary that's already full of Trust Me Bro evidence-free stories.
It has to get to a level.
And Dan Farah's evidence for this is somebody told me. In other words, trust me, bro.
Where there's no other option.
Wow.
Because it's show your cards.
Show your cards, right? Oh boy. And I've got a few more clips to share with you. So just bear with me while I get those together here. One moment. Okay, we're going to share that tab. All right. We want to take a moment to thank some kind and generous friends in the live chat. UAP or SAP, Steve Long, friend of the show with One for the Goal. Great to have you back, Stephen. Truth Seekers Forever. Glad to be back. All it takes is having a real bad medical problem where you could croak to kind of put things in perspective, Steve Long. And I'm thankful for you and many of the other people that have been on the show and supporters of mine. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support, and praise the cash. And Dawn158 is here with One for the Goal saying, keep calling them out. I will, Dawn, and thank you for your support and continued support. Much, much appreciated. And checking in with the goal, we're halfway there, but we're much more than halfway through my presentation tonight. Like I said, friends, sometimes it takes an incredible amount of time to put these presentations together to try to give you all of the information that the grifting scumbags selling this bullshit don't want you to see. And sometimes those shows specifically take so long and they're not very well supported. So if ever you wanted to support my efforts to show you, to peel back the layers of deceptions that these people use to sell you a lie, now is the time to do it. We can easily do a show just laughing at nonsense and hit a goal, but sometimes these are the most difficult. And I get it. Brother, can you spare $1? One moment here. Let me see. Do I have it on screen? Yes, I do. All right. And this is another one. In the documentary, there's just total speculation from Eric Davis, who was involved in free energy scams, in my opinion, who was involved in defrauding the government out of research money to study fake psychics and remote viewers, who was involved in the TTSA techno scam, who was involved in the Joe Firmage anti-gravity scam. Hal Puthoff and Eric Davis are the people where this UFO bubble story is coming from, which is complete and total, trust me, bro, speculation. There's no evidence for it. But don't let a thing like evidence get in the way of selling a documentary full of bullshit for $25.
Great scene where Hal Puthoff and Eric Davis were two of the senior scientists involved with the government UAP programs.
He forgot to tell you. While Eric Davis and Hal Puthoff were part of the government program to study UFOs and aliens, they also were involved with the whole Skinwalker Ranch scam, which defrauded the public out of $22 million and gave us reports of things like werewolves and shape-shifting creatures and dino beavers. Don't ask me what a dino beaver is. I don't fucking know. It's like a dinosaur and a beaver put together. Somebody saw one. Eric Davis and Hal Puthoff said that. And Hal Puthoff also, like I said, he wasted so much government money studying psychics with Stanford Research Institute. And Eric Davis, said crazy things like poltergeists followed him home from Skinwalker Ranch. He doesn't tell you that the people that are telling him this shit are complete and total wackadoos. They're not credible scientists. The Air Force called Eric Davis's research crackpot research, Dan Farah, but you're they told me about the UFO bubble.
Break down how they figured out how these craft work and how they are warping space-time in a localized area. And they're basically creating a bubble that the craft operates in. And the bubble
Can you show us a video of the alien spaceships in the bubble? No, but we'll give you a real nice 3D render.
separates the craft from the environment around it. The environment becomes irrelevant.
And of course, all the clickbait merchants. This is from a clickbait merchant, Inspector Theory, right? And all he does is post clickbait all day of shit people say that has no evidence, and he spices it up with CGI.
So it can move through physical space, could move from air to space to the water.
And again, statement of fact, because of the bubble, they can move from air to space to water. Can we see proof of that? Well, no, because this is just a trust me, bro story.
Frictionless, there's no splash.
And the story comes to us from two complete and total wackadoos who have been wasting government money researching their own pet project belief system for decades.
Like the environment outside the bubble is irrelevant. They're creating their own,
allegedly wasting government money on their own bullshit.
Space-time, essentially. They're warping space-time and creating a bubble around the craft. And when you start to think about how that could be weaponized, it's really terrifying.
And what is he saying
I appreciate
they're
it.
using? Like, how are they?
He's saying that they're creating an immense amount of energy in this localized area to create the bubble. And there's two prevailing thoughts on how that energy is created. One is they're tapping into so-called zero-point energy, which has only been theorized.
If you want to know if somebody is retarded, all you need to know is when they mention 0-point energy, they're retarded. 0-point energy is also known as free energy. It doesn't exist. And there's been almost more scams of free energy than UFO scams. And you can check our archives for my coverage of free energy scams.
At this point, by humans, right? Or they're using quantum entanglement to pull energy from a far off source to the
Okay, so we don't know where they're getting the energy to do these things.
The local area, the bubble. And
well, it's one or the other. It's got to be either of these things I just made up, a bubble or quantum entanglement. They're just pulling the energy from some other source.
That's what they figured out.
And did they have any?
They figured this out. Great. Show us the proof you figured this out. Show us the math. Show us the equations that prove this is even theoretically possible. They can't and they won't because they're bullshitters.
Knowledge of these generators or how they're acquiring this amount of power, what they're using to, how are they harnessing 0-point energy?
No.
But if we've got one and we back engineered it successfully, clearly someone must know.
Yeah.
So someone knows.
Look, Hal and Eric got very close with the scientists in the Legacy program.
Oh yeah, Hal Puthoff, who's a Scientologist who said he had superpowers, and has been involved in free energy scams and anti-gravity scams and the TTSA techno scam and the Stanford research. I think that was a scam. Yeah, he got real close to the scientists who know how this works. And so what we're getting is a secondhand story with no evidence and no proof from somebody that's completely and totally not credible, and a complete and total wackadoo who said he got superpowers from taking Scientology classes. That's who this story comes from. And it's secondhand story, by the way.
And we're sharing information.
Yeah, we're sharing secondhand information, and we have no evidence or proof.
And that got shut down by the CIA.
Oh, the CIA stopped them from getting the information. Do you have any proof of that? Well, no, but they said it. And they also said they had superpowers. So he's totally a believable person when he tells a story.
Before it got shut down, they learned a lot about what we've been doing secretly and what we've been figuring out.
Oh, we've been figuring it out. This is just ridiculous. You know, sometimes I'm going through some of this stuff and I'm going, this is so stupid. A child shouldn't believe these people. This is so stupid. A child shouldn't believe these people. But let's go back to Dave Grush. Remember, Dave Grush is before we do this, Dave Grush has been hired by Eric Burleson, one of our congressmen, to help him hunt aliens, right? And this is where it gets completely and totally ridiculous, because our taxpayer money, it takes our taxpayer money, of course, to I'm sorry, I think there's a timer on one of my lights here. Let me just reboot that. There we go. All right. I don't like to be halved. Okay, so our taxpayer money, they already scammed these UFO, a same bunch of these people that are in this documentary. In my opinion, they scammed the government out of $22 million to study Skinwalker Ranch. And all we got is written reports about a bunch of nonsense and some theoretical physics papers that make no sense to any real scientist, in my opinion. I don't know. I'm not a physicist. But when you start talking about shape-shifting creatures and orbs and poltergeists and of course there's the hitchhiker effect. If you go to Skinwalker Ranch, the ghosts or the aliens or the skinwalkers, whatever it is, they follow you home. Hal Puthoff and Eric Davis were directly involved in that scam that defrauded the American taxpayers, in my opinion, out of $22 million for a bunch of nonsense, no evidence. We got no evidence or no proof of any of their claims for the $22 million. Then a bunch of those same people, Hal Puthoff and a bunch of the people in this film, did the TTSA techno scam, in which they extracted millions of dollars from the gullible public and promised everybody a spaceship. And they were going to show us alien spaceship parts, maybe, that they had in their possession. And by the way, a lot of those alien spaceship parts completely debunked. One was a missile casing, but didn't stop them from collecting millions of dollars, claiming they may have alien spaceship parts in their possession. And again, it's all these same people: Eric Davis, Hal Puthoff, Lou Elizondo, Christopher Mellon, all these people that are in this film, right? Jim Semivan as well was part of the TTSA techno scam. It's absolutely ridiculous. But hey, they were also able, more recently, since this 2017 New York Times article, they were able to manipulate members of Congress and senators to help them get money to investigate the aliens, friends, right? They want funding and they want whistleblower protection. And even after they pass whistleblower protection, nobody's provided any evidence or proof. So what good is whistleblower protection if nobody's blowing any whistles? It's a dog whistle. Nobody can fucking hear it because they don't have any goddamn evidence. So there are morons in the United States government that have fallen victim to this cult of UFO wackadoos who are forcing the government officials to spend our taxpayer money to confirm their evidence-free, faith-based belief system and alien spaceships and interdimensional space goblins and shape-shifting creatures and bulletproof fucking werewolves and dino beavers and poltergeists. And we're all, as taxpayers, supposed to just sit back and let this bunch of fucking wackadoos waste our taxpayer dollar on this bullshit that has no evidence. And there has been multiple people within the United States government that have become friends with this same group of fucking retards that are making these evidence-free claims. And they're demanding that these lawmakers pass laws and spend money and hold hearings spending money and set up organizations to investigate. But then the government did set up one organization to investigate, the latest one. And they said there's no proof of it. They looked everywhere. There's no proof of alien life. I have a slide for that. I'm not going to bother playing the slide that shows what the All Domain Anomaly Research Organization, the latest waste of taxpayer dollars investigating these aliens, found. No proof or evidence of alien visitation on Earth. No proof of alien spacecraft. No proof of alien bodies. Don't shut up. Spend more money. Show us the fucking unicorns that we claim you have. It's ridiculous. And our lawmakers, they're truly a bunch of people in the government that are fucking retarded for wasting time, energy, and resources. There's homeless veterans all around the country. There's an epidemic of opiate epidemic and fentanyl crisis. There's a homelessness epidemic all over the country. There's homeless veterans everywhere. There's wars going on. There's important matters that the government should be attending to. No, go look for the aliens that we're sure you got the aliens. We're sure you have the alien spaceships. And you better investigate and show us the aliens. Waste more money. And there are retarded people, including Anna Paulina Luna. She's called Anna Paulina Lunatic behind the scenes. People in government call her a fucking lunatic for doing this and wasting time and energy. But you see, for some of these Congress people and senators or whoever are involved in government, this is the way to get on TV. This is a way to get publicity. So they're more than happy to make friends with these retarded UFO scammers and grifters. Like literally at the UFO hearing, they've got scammers and alien scam people, UFO grifters who have provably been caught selling completely and totally fake stories, making tons of money on monetized views all over, and selling documentaries that are full of fake shit. They're more than happy to have them in the hearing, sitting behind the people that are testifying, because they're part of the cult. The people testifying are part of the cult or friends of guys in the cult. It's ridiculous. And the fact that our taxpayer dollars are being wasted, Eric Burleson is paying a twice mental patient in the form of Dave Grush. Dave Grush came out with his claims June 5th, right? And it's been June 5th, 2023, 913 days since Dave Grush went on a media tour claiming the government's hiding aliens and we have alien bodies and we have alien spaceships and there's a crash retrieval program. And forget that he was put in a mental institution twice. Forget that he's shown zero evidence of anything in 913 days now since he made his claims. Eric Burleson is retarded. He is a congressman that gave Dave Grush a job in the government to help look for the aliens. A twice put away mental patient. Our lawmakers, our elected officials are being manipulated by a UFO cult. It's very clear and it's sad.
I'm 100% convinced that it is not any of our allies or any of our enemies.
We should have disclosure today. We should have disclosure tomorrow. The time has come.
They call them interdimensional beings. I think that they can actually operate through the time spaces that we currently have.
Enough is enough. It's time that we take action.
In the shadowed halls where secrets hide, congressional voices rise, no longer forced to slide. Eric Burleson traveled south to see the charade. Alien bodies and booga spheres, questionable choices Grush has made. UAVs in the night, breaking through the unknown. Congress on the case, true believers aren't on their own. Tim and Jack and Eric in the fight, bringing light to the shadows, exposing what's right.
When David Grush is telling me that there's a Nordic type of alien that crossbreeds with humans and creates this crossbreed, in the Bible, it describes this.
He got kicked by a horse. A horse kicked him in the back. Now he claims secret alien bases hide beneath beneath the ocean's track. Luna chairs her committee, but has no real sway. Her promises are empty, just words on display. UAVs in the night, breaking through the unknown. Congress on the case, true believers aren't on their own. Tim and Jared, and Eric in the fight, bringing light to the shadows, exposing what's right. Say there's alien craft in the sky, but all we see and hear are dumb, bogus lies. Selling alien merch with ease, providing all mysteries, a shady tease.
This is bigger than you or me or anything else.
From the Capitol to the sky so vast, they talk about secrets that will never be cast. Disclosure's a joke, just empty noise. Congressional clowns dancing for all the lonely girls and boys.
Very credible people have reported that there have been movement outside of time and space.
That's very vague.
People distrust government.
And I think
I have heard these stories.
But
I am speaking to the facts as I've been told them.
But
This is real.
They're here.
They're interacting with humanity.
But
And there we have it. Our lawmakers are being manipulated by a group of UFO grifters, scammers, and complete and total wackadoos. And how much taxpayer money are we going to waste on this? They are literally manipulating, in my opinion, they're manipulating the government, like hold hearings about this, because then we can film it and we can put it in our documentary like this one. So people think the government is taking this seriously. These people are about as serious as a clown show. So I have a little more to share with you, and I apologize for the length here. One moment. So Eric Burleson is featured in this video. And again, Eric Burleson is the guy who gave David Grush, a twice committed mental patient. He got committed to a mental institution twice, I believe, against his will. You know how crazy you have to be? I mean, I don't know. I'm not a psychiatrist, but I know people who have been 302'd. And usually people are 302'd or, committed to a mental institution against their will or involuntarily when they are a danger to themselves or others. They got to put them in a pokey and make sure that they're not a danger to themselves or others before they let them out. Apparently, Mr. Grush has gotten counseling for whatever his alcoholic or post-traumatic stress issues were. But it's still important that Dave Grush comes on the scene and says crazy things. Like he basically says interdimensional space monsters are murdering humans on Earth or have murdered humans. And people have been murdered for this. And Eric Burleson, does he know that he's been committed to a mental institution twice? Does he realize that it's been 913 days and Dave Grush hasn't shown any evidence of his claims other than other people who say he's telling the truth that also tell similar stories? But here's Eric Burleson. I'm not a fan of this UAP podcast, but fair use. We're going to play the clip. Check him out if you want. Eric Burleson is pressed here. Like, did you see the bodies? Because now Dave Grush is working for you. And Dave Grush claims to know exactly where the alien bodies are. Doesn't that mean you could see them? And what we get is excuses for why Eric Burleson, first of all, why is he wasting taxpayer dollars employing a twice committed mental patient who thinks alien space monsters are murdering humans and people have been murdered to protect this cover up? Never showed any proof of any of that. Why is he giving Dave Grush a job as a congressional aide or staffer? He gave him a job to help him hunt aliens. Great. Pardon me. Yeah, let's see the bodies. By the way, fair use. We have bodies. Okay. So excuse, even after you hired the mental patient who says that he knows where all the alien spaceships are being stored, you still haven't seen any spaceships? Why is he still working for you? Are you retarded, Eric Burleson? Are you mentally deficient or deranged in some way? Maybe you need a mental institution, considering this complete and total lack of judgment that you have regarding who you hire as a staffer. Yeah, I'm sorry. You're a congressman. If you are employing David Grush, who says he knows exactly where the bodies are, he knows exactly where the alien spaceships are being housed and stored and worked on, why wouldn't you just knock on the fucking door? I'm a congressman. Let me in. I want to see what you have in there. No, not going to do that. Oh, you can't open the doors even with Dave Grush working for you? Why can't you open the doors, Eric Burleson? That's kind of where I'm at. Even after giving the guy a job who says he knows exactly where the aliens are, Eric Burleson, who's paying him, can't see the aliens or the alien spaceships. What does that tell you, right? That's weird. I heard it. Okay, well, let me just describe it then. I don't know why we're having technical problems. I heard the video and I'm sharing it with sound. I apologize then. So in this clip, I'll just describe it. Eric Burleson has asked, have you seen the bodies since Dave Grush is working for you? Have you seen the alien spaceships since Dave Grush knows exactly where they are and he's working for you? And Eric Burleson makes a bunch of excuses and says he's submitted requests, but no, he hasn't seen any proof or no audio, right? I get it. Okay, the video had no sound. I don't know why that is. I apologize. One moment here. Let me check on something. All right, I have sound. I don't know why the video has no sound, and I apologize. Let me... I don't know that I want to share any more. One moment here. I think I will just go to the slides to finish up. But before we do that, hopefully this one has sound. So just to wrap up, I'm not even going to play that one. Let me get to my Google Drive and we'll share some other interesting things, and then we'll be wrapping things up here. We thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support of tonight's show. Slides like Wilcock, yeah. So this is where the disinformation comes in. Trump to confirm alien existence as he is briefed on the base facts about extraterrestrial life, the Age of Disclosure director claims. So Dan Farah, who believed all of these wackadoos, is telling news outlets that Donald Trump will soon disclose the existence of extraterrestrial life. Again, it's another trust me bro story. And I'm sure that if you call the press, the White House press, and ask, they don't know anything about this, right? It's just one of those things. It's kind of ridiculous that we even have to talk about this. But this is where the clickbait merchants come in, because then 100 different news outlets and websites and UFO channels all run this. This is news. Trump to confirm alien existence as he is briefed on the base facts about extraterrestrial life. And this comes from the director of this Age of Disclosure film. And we've just shown you how that guy is completely and totally gullible. He believes all these people that have no evidence of this. So, and this, of course, is Lou Elizondo saying that he worked for free for 7 years. Okay, this is from the All Domain Anomaly Research Office. This was posted by Mick West, but I stole it. Has the department found any evidence of extraterrestrial technology? No. Examination of UAP sightings is ongoing. AARO uses a rigorous scientific framework and data-driven approach to better understanding UAP. We will follow the science wherever it leads. It hasn't led to any aliens, friends. Sorry, no aliens. And of course, I wouldn't be able to finish this broadcast without talking about the fact that they had a paragon of truth-telling virtue in this film in the form of James Clapper. You may recall that James Clapper left the government in disgrace after he got caught lying to Congress, right? Claiming there was no widespread surveillance of American citizens taking place. And then Edward Snowden came along and buried him and showed all the evidence and proof. And James Clapper knew that the government was doing widespread surveillance of American citizens. And he lied to Congress. So we're supposed to believe a proven liar? And basically, he doesn't say anything important in the film anyway. It was largely nothing burgers, right? Oops, sorry. These are my notes. Yeah, so I don't know, friends. I am at a loss. What we know is it's the same people telling the same stories who all have a suspicious lack of evidence, and they're all friends, and they all get together and tell each other stories and get each other's disclosure boners going, right? But I do want to talk about a few final points. In this film, Lou Elizondo claims that somebody in the government called him and said that the government was going to murder him and murder David Grush. And again, play the dramatic music. Oh, they're trying to kill me because what I'm talking about is so dangerous. This is an old UFO grifter scammer plot device. Call it a talking point. Oh, they're trying to kill me. If somebody was really trying to kill you, wouldn't you blow the whistle on that? Oh, Lou Elizondo said there was a big meeting in the government and that his life was in danger, and so was Dave Grush's. Bullshit. The only consequences Lou Elizondo or Dave Grush has ever faced is getting money for UFO deals, right? So I find this whole film to be the most deceptively edited bunch of wackadoos. I'll give them points for this. They got more wackadoos together. And by the way, that clip we played earlier reminded me there's another guy who is a disgraced. So we've got James Clapper, left the government in disgrace. We've also got Carl Nell, who left the government in disgrace. He got in trouble for retaliating against whistleblowers. That's Carl Nell. And he sued the government, and it didn't work out for him. And I think he retired. But he's another one of the people that's a former government official that's saying in this film, the government, we are not alone in the universe, 100% true, or something like that. They have these revolving bunch of retards. That's what I'm calling it. There's a revolving bunch of retards in this film who all keep saying similar things, like we're definitely not alone in the universe, and the government knows it. The government's hiding alien spacecraft, and I'm sure of it. I've seen alien craft and alien bodies with my own eyes, right? A former president told me that aliens landed at Hollowman, and this revolving bunch of retards just keep saying this stuff, but nobody has any proof, and nobody has any evidence, and apparently we're not supposed to care that this is all one big trust me bro story. The thing that's different here is, like I said, whoever made this film, they think that if you get enough people together saying the same thing, then people will just kind of forget, oh, that guy that first said that thing, he didn't have any evidence. Now we've got another guy saying virtually the same thing. He didn't have any evidence. Now we've got another guy that works for the government. By the time he gets to the end of this film, I think they have 30 plus people in the film all repeating these talking points, like they defy the laws of physics. We don't have anything in our inventory that could do that. And it's a revolving wheel of retards saying fantastic things, but none of these retards have any evidence of the things that they are saying. And I just want to know, as I started this broadcast, I asked, how much money does this same group of assholes get to make? They did the Skinwalker Ranch scam, $22 million. They did a lot of these people in this film were involved in that. A lot of these people in the film were involved in the TTSA, what has been described as a techno scam, where they promised investors a spaceship and never delivered. Near as I can tell, all that money got spent on a horrible Hollywood movie vanity project that Tom DeLonge made named Hollywood Monsters. It's like the worst movie. It looks like it was made by a 12-year-old child. But they sure didn't deliver a spaceship, and they didn't deliver spaceship parts, and a lot of the stuff that they were talking about got debunked as fake. But by then, the investors' money was gone, and nobody got disclosure for their investment. And then, of course, you have people like Lou Elizondo made money from book deals, TV show deals, live speaking fees, where he literally defrauded the public. I'm going to give you the truth about UFOs. Here's a fake picture of a UFO, and I talked to the pilots. In my opinion, there should be some consequences for some of these people. And how long are they going to continue to manipulate our elected officials to go on this wild goose chase looking for aliens? How much money have we wasted on this group, same bunch of people? It's the same group of people. I think Stephen Greenstreet calls this core group of people, Hal Puthoff, Eric Davis, Jay Stratton, Travis Taylor, Brandon Fugel, Dave Grush, Lou Elizondo, Jim Semivan, all these, Christopher Mellon. It's all this same group, Gary Nolan. It's all this same core group of people. How long are we going to let them manipulate members of Congress, manipulate members of the Senate, they're trying to manipulate Donald Trump into announcing that the government knows extraterrestrials are real. In my opinion, they're trying to manipulate him. This is absolutely ridiculous. For them, it's a business venture. Yeah, absolutely. And I will check in here. All right, so we got halfway to the goal. That's pretty good for one of these kind of very intense, data-rich shows. And I'm here to tell you that I got more. I've got so much more on this, but we're already at 3 hours, and I want to cap it as close to here as I can. So there you go, friends. It's a big club, and I ain't in it. And they're all telling each other stories. And that's another point. They did the super-duper prover maneuver in this. Eric Davis said everything that Dave Grush said was true. And I believe Jay Stratton, everything Dave Grush said was true. I sent him to find those aliens, and he found them. It's like, are we that stupid? They think we're stupid. Like, okay, one guy with no evidence says the other guy with no evidence is telling the truth, and they're both former government officials. Never mind all the wackadoo shit they've said over the years, or the wackadoo scams and the fake UFO story scams that many of these people in this film have all been involved in. And by the way, this film did nothing. It did nothing. The New York Times said that anybody that sits through this 2 hours of evidence-free claims is a chump, right? And they try to manipulate the system to get we got some subs over on Kick. I apologize. It's a busy night tonight, friends, and I'm doing my best. Wearing a lot of hats here tonight. Let's get some subs over on Kick. I'll do some shout outs over on Kick. I apologize. All right. Tampon Blood Magic has just gifted 5 subs. And Ray Gunner and Tampon Rangers say, I sat through that shit. Sad. Well, we thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support of the show. 1 second. Let me go over to our channel there. Yes, Tampon Blood Magic has gifted 5 subs. And also, just a few days ago, gifted 5 subs. So big ups to the MVP of support over on Kick.com. Tampon Blood Magic. And then we've got Von Schergen with a $10 super chat. Great show. Glad you're back, Commander. Thank you. I'm so happy to be back. And praise the cash, bitches. Let's see what we can do to praise the cash a little harder. And remember, you can always, even if you're watching a replay, send a super thanks or a PayPal pledge or buy me a coffee. I pride myself on being that voice out here in the wind. When these scammers hit with these projects, I'm always here to give you the rest of the story. Now, I want to ask you, honestly, if you're new to this subject and you fell into this documentary, I don't blame you. It's very deceptively edited. And when you don't know the history of these bunch of wackadoos, it sounds pretty believable until you start going, wait, they didn't show any evidence. And the stuff that they talked about, a lot of it was completely debunked stories. Maelstrom, completely debunked. Hollowman Air Force Base, completely debunked, right? Why do they need to show you fake images of UFOs in this documentary if UFOs are real? Can't you show us real images of UFOs? Why are you showing lanterns? Why are you showing videos of balloons? You know, and remember, Christopher Mellon stood on a stage at a TTSA press conference and told everyone that a number one balloon, you ever see those balloons when a kid turns 1 year old, the silver Mylar 1? He told people that was an alien spaceship in order to get investor money. These people they're not credible. I would believe a crackhead holding up a gas can in the ghetto asking me for gas money to get home before I believed any of these people. How Putoff has been involved in so much shady shit, it's ridiculous. And Eric Davis, come on, dude. The Air Force called his research crackpot research. Dave Grush, a twice mental patient. These are all the things that Dan Farah didn't tell you about. Why, Dan Farah? Why don't you come here and we'll have a discussion about how you should vet your sources? He did zero vetting of anything. And another thing, it appears to me that there's a conscious attempt again to conflate OSAP, which did get $22 million, and ATIP. I think they did that on purpose, because if people look into OSAP, you'll find out that the government and Eric Davis and Hal Putoff and friends wasted $22 million studying werewolves and poltergeists on Skinwalker Ranch. And they got no evidence or proof out of that $22 million. So we don't want people to go looking for the OSAP results. Just say ATIP, which was a nickname for the project after it got defunded, apparently. And that's the fake Pentagon UFO program that had no funding, had no offices, had no investigators. This whole thing is completely and totally ridiculous. And I, for one, am totally tired of these same bunch of grifters. Can we get some new grifters? You know, at least when we got Lou Elizondo, when we first got Lou Elizondo, everybody was excited. No, this guy's not just another grifter that's going to be working UFO conventions and lying to us. He really ran a government UFO program, and he's going to tell us the truth about what the government really knows about aliens. Is he really? Is he really going to tell us the truth? Because so far, for 7+ years now, all he's done is lied to us and extracted every penny out of the UFO community that he possibly could. And, you know, I, for one, am tired of these guys making millions of dollars or whatever they make. By the way, Mr. Transparency, Lou Elizondo, how much money did you make for this shit show? This deceptively edited piece of shit documentary that you're charging people $25 for. By the way, Lou Elizondo, you owe me $25. And I think I'd be well within my rights to sue Dan Farah in small claims court to get my money back for this overhyped, over-sensationalized. And this is what they always do. Overpromise and then underdeliver. What happened as a result of this documentary? What groundbreaking revelations did we get? None. We get the same old people telling a few new stories to go along with the old wacky stories that they told us. They always go a little further. Eric Davis never talked about having a meeting with George Bush, who told him that the Russians recovered 2 alien bodies ever. And then, by the way, they get the Roswell thing completely and totally wrong. This whole thing is one big shit show. And I don't know. I don't want to waste any more time on a shit show. I don't know about you, friends, but I feel like I've had enough, you know? Like, it's the same people that always have their hand out. Give me money. We're going to give you the truth about those aliens. But they never do, and they never will, because they have no evidence. They have absolutely no evidence. But they want you to believe that they have some evidence, right? It's totally ridiculous. And when you press people like Lou Elizondo for evidence, you get threatened, intimidated, doxxed. And by the way, that's another thing about this film. Why are they copyright claiming people making memes from stills of the film, making fun of it? Why are they copyright claiming people posting clips of the ridiculous evidence-free claims made in this film, especially when somebody's arguing a point? Don't you want people talking about the documentary? Don't you want people discussing it on the internet if there's so much truth in this? No, there's no truth in this. This is a bunch of lying scumbags that all got paid. And I'd love to see the breakdown of how much each of these people got paid. Everybody got paid to be in this film. And I know there was some kind of legal drama, apparently or allegedly, between Lou Elizondo and the filmmaker, and that's why it was delayed. And also, I think they delayed the film because Lou Elizondo is the central character in this list of retards. And they were going to release this film earlier, but Lou Elizondo kept getting caught showing everybody fake photos of UFOs. So there was a lot of bad press around their main character. They had to wait and hope people forget that Lou Elizondo is a lying scumbag who took money from the public to tell them the truth about aliens and then showed them a picture of a fucking chandelier. It's ridiculous that these people don't ever face consequences for deceiving the public, using the UFO community as a personal piggy bank when they have nothing of value to give you. It's absolutely ridiculous. Trolly troll troll with one for the goal. Hey, bud, if you find a chestnut roaster nearby, you could buy chestnuts online. Teach your boys how your grandparents used to celebrate the season. You know what? That's a great idea. And I think I will do that. Thank you, Trolly Troll Troll, for the suggestion. You know, what's interesting is that the elves that are living in my house apparently now have left a small Christmas tree and all the stuff to decorate it inside my youngest son's room. So this happened today. I was not aware that the elves in my house, the elves on the shelves or something, would be dropping off trees. But I told my son I'm very concerned that they're going to fill our house with Christmas trees because elves are kind of kooky and crazy. It's a great time to be a dad this time of the year, and my youngest son loves Christmas so much. He's been watching Christmas movies nonstop since, I don't know, 10 days ago probably. But thank you, Trolly Troll Troll. And we have Amber Gedden says, it was an awesome show, Stephen. Thank you for all you do. I'm doing my best. I can't even cover the amount of deception in this documentary in 3 hours. It would take me another 3 hours to explain to you more reasons why all these people are basically lying scumbags, or they're just Kool-Aid drinking cult members that believe this stuff. There's only one of two possibilities, maybe three. Maybe they're intentional scammers and they know it's fake and they don't care. The actors make not that much bigger production unless they make sometimes. It doesn't matter how much they make. It's enough that they made money for this evidence-free, trust me, bro, experiment. 2 hours of listening to guys say things that have no evidence. And, Dan Farah, to his credit, maybe he believed them, but don't you think he should have vetted some of the other things that these people have been involved in and said, nope, we're not going to do that, because then there's no documentary deal, right? Elves are kooky and crazy. I'm surprised they weren't interviewed for the last documentary, says Operation Shutdown. Yeah, well, it is what it is, right? So we've done our due diligence. I'm actually not sure when I'm going to be back. I got some family stuff going on. Some of you know I'm dealing with some medical issues. And boy, the meds they have me on are kicking my ass. But I'm going to do my best to be back as soon as possible. Maybe Saturday. Maybe tomorrow if I'm feeling up to it. Who knows? I've taken a step back and just made my schedule no schedule, because some days the meds don't really kick my ass very much, and I'm able to do a show like today. I felt very like I had the energy and I want to have enthusiasm and excitement when I come here and be passionate about what I'm doing and what I'm talking about. I don't come here like some of the phone it in people that I've seen and just be low energy and boring. It takes a lot of energy to do these shows. So my policy, I'm supposed to be on bed rest for another 4 or 5 weeks, total bed rest. My strategy is basically I'd like to do every other day, do a show, because then I've got a day to recoup and rest and get things together for the next show or whatever. We want to thank you, kind and generous benefactors, you Patreon supporters, you YouTube channel members, you people gifting memberships, you people sending super chats or Patreon, PayPal pledges, you people on Patreon, people buying me a coffee, and hey, super thanks. Even if you're watching a replay, you can throw a couple bucks in our hat and let us know that you appreciate that we're giving you the rest of the story. And these people that are making hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe millions of dollars, are lying to you. A lie by omission is still a lie. Would anybody think that this film has any credibility whatsoever if you knew before you bought it all the things I've taught you about these bunch of wackadoo lunatics that are making these claims in the film? Would you actually plop down your $25? Most people have to admit, no, they wouldn't. If these people are several of the people in this documentary are claiming they have superpowers. I don't know. Besides the aliens, you also have superpowers? So this is why the UFO deception works. They never give you the whole story. They only give you a very small part of it. And I'm here to give you the rest of it. And I did my best to do that tonight. So, friends, that's all I've got for you. Not sure when I'll be back. Follow me on Twitter at Stephen Cambion, or X at Stephen Cambion. I'll be calling it Twitter for the rest of my life. You can follow me on Facebook as well, just Stephen Cambion on Facebook. You can join our Discord server if Arlene will kindly share that link, and speak with like-minded truth seekers all around the world 24/7, not just when we're doing a live show or event. And we thank all of you for your kindness, generosity, and support. It is much, much appreciated. But that's all I got for you, friends. You know, it makes me really sad that people are just able to just make money deceiving people. And in my heart of hearts, I got to believe that at least some of these people, they just so desperately believe this that they don't care that they have no evidence. It's like religion. It's a cult. It's a faith-based belief system. And somehow this UFO cult has been able to manipulate even members of Congress and the Senate into giving them money to study these things, into spending money, setting up organizations to study these things. And it's all been one big nothing burger waste of time. And I, for one, would rather give all of that money to homeless veterans than to waste it chasing shadows. So that's all I got for you, friends. Until next time, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you.
Truth seekers exposing the truth. Truth seekers coming for you. Truth seekers exposing the lies. Truth seekers, open your eyes. They lie again. Have you had your fill? Let go of lies. Take your second red pill. I know you've had your fill. It's time to take your second red pill. I know you've had your fill. It's time to take your second red pill. I know you've had your fill. It's time to take your second red pill. Truth seekers exposing the truth. Truth seekers coming for you. Truth seekers exposing the lies. Truth seekers, open your eyes. It's time to take your second red pill. I know you've had your fill. It's time to take your second red pill. Truth seekers exposing the truth. Truth seekers coming for you. Truth seekers exposing the lies. Truth seekers, open your eyes.
Getting to the point, I'll tell you right now, I'm going to start doing a lot less. You're going to notice a huge, I'm going to do a few more to finish up my obligations, but I'm not doing these much longer. This is it. You want more of the same, then go back to the last 70 years of bullshit, because that's what people think you are. They think you're full of shit because you talk about wacky stuff, you've got no evidence, and because he said he wrote a book on something, what does that mean? It means nothing. You got to show evidence. You got to, where are the bona fides? Where are the videos? Where's the reports? Where's the discussions to Congress and the classified briefings? They're nowhere, because I haven't seen them on the Hill when I'm there. I haven't seen them in DC when I'm going by the Pentagon or anywhere else. They're not in those meetings. So you're not going to stop me from doing my pursuits, because I'm taking this very seriously. And I think, I was, when I first came into this, people told me, oh, ufology eats its own. I'm like, what the hell is ufology? I don't even know what that is. I'm not a ufologist. I never have been, I never will be. So stop wrapping me into that. I am not into ufology. I'm not. In fact, it was up to me. I'd blow it up into a million pieces, as I said before.